All right, all right. Hey guys, nice to meet you all. My name is Diego Lara, managing partner at 100X Advisors. It is an absolute pleasure to be joined by all of you guys here in Kenya. This is a very, very special trip to be alongside Ian in his hometown, his home continent, country, right, in Africa. We did Uganda not too long ago, and that was a very special moment for me, especially because we have his father in the back, Mr. Charles. Please give him a round of applause. So anyway, guys, like I said, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. This really means a lot to us, especially to me personally. Ian, you know, he's one of those guys that came along in my life and changed it completely. So I'm very thankful and very honored to be here alongside him. And yeah, so here we are in Africa, Q4. This journey started Q1. We did South America. Then we moved over to Europe, Eastern Europe, pretty much traveled to over 22 countries. And now we're here, right? So once again, it's an absolute pleasure. Ian, please join the stage and give my man a round of applause.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you. Karibu. All right, thank you so much, Kenya. It's a pleasure to be here. As you guys know, we're on our Crypto World Tour. And probably the number one question I kept on getting is, Ian, when are you coming to Africa? When Africa? When Africa? Well, now we're here for the full month. We've done Egypt, we've done Uganda, and now we're here in Kenya. And I'm just very proud to be here because I know Kenya has really been at the forefront when it comes to mobile money, right? Everybody knows M-Pesa. M-Pesa put Kenya on the map, right? So I'm really curious to see how technology and fintech has evolved now with blockchain and cryptocurrencies, right? So it's a pleasure to be here. We definitely want to add a local flavor to this event. So we'll be having a panel discussion, and we have two local guests joining us here. We have George. Please come here and join us on the stage. And so then thank you, George. And then we also have Lemuel. Please come here and join us on the stage as well. So we'll make sure this will be a really local-centric, really getting into the goals, challenges, what's happening here in crypto in Kenya, okay? And thank you all for being here as well. We know you guys could be anywhere in the world, especially in a bear market. And you guys are here with us, right? And I just love the crowd, the attendance. Shows so many people here are really passionate about the space and just trying to learn more and meet people in the space. So thank you guys for being here as well. All right, so let's have quick intros with our guests here.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian. My name is George Mwakisha. I'm a banker by profession. Currently, I'm the global channel ambassador for Kubitx. So Kubitx is a hybrid cryptocurrency trading exchange, which is set to launch before the end of the year. And that's why we are here to discuss on how cryptos are affecting the emerging markets.
All right, thank you.
Hello Nairobi. My name is Lemuel Mangla. For myself, I'm a blockchain and crypto enthusiast. Got into the market sometime September last year. So in this bear market and still going strong. So I've been watching Ian's videos for a couple of times. So that's why I'm still in it. I do my own research, and it's good to have a meetup in Nairobi. Let's see how this goes. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, thank you. It's always good to do your own research. So who's heard of me before? Show of hands. Okay, good amount. Who hasn't heard of me or watched any of my content before? Okay, no one. Don't be shy now. Okay, a few people. All right, so for the few hands that haven't heard of me before, my name is Ian Balina. I'm a full-time blockchain and cryptocurrency investor, meaning that I do this for a living. Yes, I invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for a living full-time. Prior to that, I was working 4 years at IBM. My last year, I was IBM North America Sales Executive, covering IBM Open Source Analytics and the IBM Cloud. Prior to that, I was 3 years working as an IBM Sales Engineer for IBM Watson Analytics. So I have a background working with data and analytics. And prior to that, I was working as an IT consultant at Deloitte, and I have a background as a computer engineer. So how did I get involved in this space? It's a long story. To keep it short, I have videos on my channel online on YouTube that have more in depth on my background. just go online and search Ian Balina or search Diary of a Made Man. But to keep it short, I began investing in cryptocurrencies, and before that, almost everything was kind of speculation. It still is, but even back then it was more like gambling. And I leveraged data and analytics, because that was what I knew working at IBM, to basically find a more efficient way of investing in cryptocurrencies. And that system I call Token Metrics, and it helped me basically quit my job at IBM, plus also having good timing with the market in 2017. But now it really gave me financial freedom and the time. I basically took back control of my time, and now I can travel the world evangelizing and meeting people in this space, because I feel this is the future. I feel this is the biggest innovation since the internet itself. And for us to really be involved at this at a grassroots level on the ground floor is really almost taking leaps and bounds in terms of the future, and trying to just be there and then look back and say, you know what, I was part of something great as this was being built up. Anyway, so to start things off on the agenda, we'll have a panel discussion with our guests here. Following that, we'll have 2 local companies here. Actually, I think 3. Present the ideas, right? So we have 3 blockchain projects. We'll come here, we'll give them a stage, the platform, to basically tell us what they're building. And from there, we'll then have an open Q&A, question and answer. Are you guys ready? Yeah. All right, all right. Okay, so we're here in Kenya, Nairobi.
Yep.
All right. Tell me your experience in blockchain and crypto here in Kenya, starting with you.
Okay, so for me, I actually started invest. Oh, I'd had a blockchain and Bitcoin before, but I hadn't taken that interest to actually find out more. So in June, that's when I met someone who was actually trading Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and I did my own research for about 3 months. And in September, that's when I bought my first Bitcoin. So since then, I've been able to diversify to altcoins, and I've been able to see various exchanges, especially fiat to crypto, come up in Kenya. And also,
now, what's the process of buying cryptocurrencies in Kenya? Are there exchanges? Is it OTC, over the counter, meaning you go to a person and you give them cash and they give you crypto?
There are quite a number of local exchanges and also peer-to-peer exchanges. For instance, local Bitcoins. There are a couple of, there's Pesa, there's Belfrix in Kenya, there's Kubitx, who just launched recently also. So there are quite a number of fiat-to-crypto exchanges. And as someone does their own research, then you can also be able to wire the same to other international exchanges where you're able to access more cryptos, so to speak. Yes.
Okay. And how about you?
Okay. Thank you. So when I was in the bank, I've been in the bank industry for 8 years. So during that time, at some point I was in the system administration or system maintenance department, whereby I started doing research on the future of banking. And through that research, then blockchain and cryptocurrencies came in, and fintech, a lot of fintech. So according to me, I started looking at the traditional banking as quite outdated. Now, late to 2016, then I decided to quit banking and venture into this blockchain space full time. And I researched a lot about blockchain and also learning about cryptos. And that's where I came through Ian Balina's contents on ICO investing, all his journey basically on all his contents. That's how I get to learn about all this cryptocurrency stuff. Now, that aside, I have invested in several cryptocurrencies. And again, at some point in 2017, where we call during the FOMO of the ICOs, where there's a lot of hype on ICOs, I fell into a few bad cryptos whereby they have never launched. So there were
scams.
Exactly, basically there were scams, yeah. So late 2017, actually November, when you did the video on token metrics, on how to analyze the ICOs, good ICOs from bad ones, then that's where I became more, let's say, educated to learn how to get into the real projects on cryptocurrencies. Now, just to add a few on the previous question on how do we buy cryptos in Kenya locally, we have the local Bitcoin, which is more like Uber globally. But locally, we have a money transfer system called M-Pesa, whereby you can send money directly to somebody's phone. Okay, so if you want to buy Bitcoin, for example, you can, a buyer can go to the local Bitcoin, identify the person who's selling. If they're happy with the sell, then they can click sell, and then the seller will accept payment on M-Pesa. We call it M-Pesa, the mobile service money transfer. So through that, it has made it easier for cryptos to be accepted locally and to be traded locally outside also the banking system, whereby there's so much regulations. But further to that, also OTC works perfectly well. To your question?
Yeah, so do you think Kenyans' experience with M-Pesa has made it easier for them to adopt cryptocurrency?
Definitely, because M-Pesa is usually a peer-to-peer sort of course, not focusing on the centralization of the Safaricom as a company. Someone basically thinks I'm just sending money to you directly. So when you explain someone that Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies is basically the same technology whereby you're sending money from my mobile phone to someone's mobile phone, it makes more sense. And how when they ask, how do I liquidate? Okay, it makes more sense because in M-Pesa, if you have to liquidate, or rather if you want the hard cash, you go to an agent, send your money to the M-Pesa to the agent, and they give you hard cash. Cryptos, basically on Bitcoin, does the same thing locally though.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And I also tend to think that with M-Pesa having used the agency model, it's going to be very easy for Kenyans and also for East Africans to adopt this, because considering the number of banks that we have, so over the counter at times may not move as many, but when it comes to peer-to-peer, then you're able to move more volumes, and Kenyans are already acclimatized to M-Pesa in such a sense that they understand it. So I think Kenyans are able to understand cryptos much better because they already have a feel of electronic money. So I think moving forward, I believe there's going to be more and more adoption.
Now, we also have an exchange called Belfrix. Belfrix is an exchange which has helped guys, let's say, buy Bitcoins easily by depositing money to the bank account. Now, this is how it works. You go deposit money to your account and transfer funds to the Belfrix bank account, okay? And Belfrix will give you your crypto on the exchange, on your account, basically. So that is one problem which has been solved by Belfrix. Now, Kubitx, just to correct, Kubitx, we have not launched the exchange yet. It's set to be launched by the end of the year. Now, basically this month. So Kubitx also is trying to solve the same problem by integrating the exchange to the traditional financial systems. We have partnered with one of the biggest payment gateway in Africa called InterSwitch. So InterSwitch basically is a payment gateway linking banks to probably the mobile, the digital payment platforms. So it's going to help us guys transfer money directly from Kubitx to their bank account. Now, when it goes to the bank account, it appears as a merchant payment, not necessarily as a crypto payment. So in case probably someone has an issue with the government or the banks, at that time we're trying to solve that with them.
Okay, so how does that work exactly? So if I have my crypto on Kubitx, the exchange,
yes,
and I want to go to fiat, right? So I sell to either BTC or Ether, I take it, right, as the main trading pairs. Then I send that to an agent, or I send that to InterSwitch?
Yes, now we'll have an OTC mobile wallet, which you can send to InterSwitch. And also there'll be more
I send them Bitcoin or Ether or something?
Yes, you send them exactly Bitcoin, and they will give you the fiat. Yeah, now, you can also send the same directly to your bank account by integrating both your bank account details to the exchange. Okay. Just the same way
so the
as
exchange will make the conversion from Bitcoin
exactly
to fiat.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, with that also we are seeing us trying to incorporate the traditional market and also helping the regulation bodies like central bank and probably the CMA and everything else to understand how these cryptos work.
Okay. Quick question for the audience: who owns cryptocurrencies? Okay. Who doesn't own any cryptocurrency? Okay, a few people. Okay, I guess maybe a question for one person. Who doesn't own cryptocurrency? Why not? Anybody wanna? Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry, we'll have questions later. We just want to have an answer, actually.
I want to tell you why I don't invest in it.
Okay.
Because of these questions. Can you convince me why you think that cryptos are not bubbles? And second question, why do you think that the value of these cryptos won't go to zero? Third, what value supports these cryptos? What value do they have?
Okay, so 2 and 3 are basically the same question. Okay, so very good question and answer. Okay, so first question, hold on, what's the first question again? Sorry, just want to make sure I have it right. Why crypto is not a bubble? Okay, I think you're looking at it the wrong way, all right? Just because something is a bubble doesn't mean it's bad, all right? If you look at technology, technology has had bubbles, but, right, we had the dot-com bubble, right? We had, back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, we had so many tech companies raising money, doing IPOs, going to the moon, and making people rich. Then we had the tech bubble crashed. Basically, we had to go back and filter and clean up house, and so many companies were overvalued. That didn't necessarily mean the technology was bad. It just meant there was too much hype, too much interest. But now, today, we have some companies that survived that bubble, the crash. We have Google, Amazon, all these, Cisco, Microsoft, all these other companies that were in a bubble that still made it. So just because something is a bubble doesn't mean it's bad per se, right? So if you look at cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, you could say Bitcoin has had lots of bubbles. But what gives me confidence in crypto and Bitcoin especially is no matter how high it goes and how much it falls down, it always bounces back up, right? So this isn't the first time Bitcoin has had a huge pullback, meaning it's lost value a lot. Bitcoin has lost more than 80% of its value from last year, meaning that if you invested last year, you would have lost 80% of your money. But that's not the first time this happened in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I would say, something that doesn't keep on going up indefinitely. It goes up, comes down, takes a break, then it goes up again, but goes up even higher than last time. So basically, we're getting higher highs, right, and higher lows. So just because something gets a low doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, right? Because the low, from a long-term perspective, is actually higher than last year's high, if that makes sense, right? So Bitcoin had the Mt. Gox hack. Bitcoin had Silk Road, right? So all these big events made it lose value, but it ended up bouncing back even higher and stronger than before, right? So actually, there's a site that tracks how many times Bitcoin has been called dead by the media, right? I forget what the number is now, but it's been dead so many times, but Bitcoin almost has indefinite amount of lives, right? So I would say just because something is a bubble doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think bubbles are good because real money is made during volatile times, right? Something that's stable, like bonds, is not really gonna make people a bunch of money, right? So as an investor, we look for asset classes that can go up and down very, very fast. Because if you time it right and do your homework, you can make money very, very quickly, right? So volatility is good, right? And I think bubbles are healthy because they help build awareness as they're going up, but eventually people have to become mature adults, right? And you have to go through and basically filter out all the noise and get the things that are actually valuable. So hopefully that answers your first question. Then in terms of why Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have value, the same way fiat has value. People ascribe value to something. It may seem simple, but it's that simple. Why does the dollar have value? Why does shilling have value? I mean, the dollar has value because people believe that the American government is going to back it up, right? But why does what do other currencies for other countries like the Argentine peso or the Turkish lira or the Zimbabwe shilling, right? Why does that not have as much value? So I think it's a question of how much people believe in that asset as a store of value. And then people are actually investing in this. This isn't just something that's just out there in the air. I mean, we have big companies like IBM, Microsoft, JP Morgan, Citibank, big companies that have been successful and have been around for a long time, investing lots and lots of money in this space. Right, so I think just by the definition of them doing that and means they ascribe value to this. They view this as something that is valuable and has a long-term, and actually can impact their long-term business. Then, for example, Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't something people just make out of thin air. I mean, it may seem like that, but to truly get a Bitcoin, you have to put in resources, both time and financial resources. So to mine one Bitcoin, you basically have to do what's called proof of work. Basically, miners, people with computers, volunteer their computing resources over a period of time. And that equates to power. So that power they have to pay for with money. And they also pay for it with time. So that investment, that sweat equity, is then converted to one Bitcoin. So in a way, they've invested their time and financial resources to mine that one Bitcoin, which is why that Bitcoin has a monetary value. Now that value can fluctuate based on other people's perception of that value, but as other people start investing in Bitcoin, both from a business standpoint and also from a financial standpoint, it then starts to get more and more value. So for example, right now, the total market cap for cryptocurrencies is, I believe, around $130 billion. That's how much money is flowing around. And that's only what we see, right? The stuff that's off the books is probably even more than that, right? So, and that's called OTC, over the counter. So I would say so much money is being invested in this space, both from a financial capital standpoint and also both from a time, resources. So many people are investing in this space just based off of that, and I think that's why it gets value. Does that answer your question? Any of you guys want to add on to this?
I think just like George, I've also been a banker for about 8 years. And one thing I would also want to tell you is, when you look at the history of money, way back when people were using salt and cowrie shells to using gold, then having fiat. And after that, we're actually having electronic money. So this is an evolution of money. So in the next few years, there's going to be real adoption, and that's what's going to be used as money. So for me, I would actually encourage you to try it out, put a little coin in there, learn how it actually works. But I would want to guarantee you that this is an evolution of money, and you shouldn't lose out. Actually, each and every person should at least put 1 to 2% of their net worth in cryptos and see how it goes.
Something I can add on the same from his point is that in the next, let's say 10 to 20 years, I'm not so sure if I'm probably ambitious, but everything basically will be tokenized. A building like this will be put on the blockchain, okay? If you want to buy a building like this, you'll go through blockchain, okay, through something called smart contract, for those who understand the Ethereum blockchain. So if you think of it that way, then you are thinking we are moving to the next generation of exchanging of value. Put cryptos aside, exchanging of value, it's going to take over. Now, if you have also checked on the IMF, International Monetary Fund's website, they have a full research on Bitcoin and blockchain. And Christine Lagarde says it clearly that we cannot just watch this technology taking over. This technology is solving much bigger problems than what we think. So I can encourage you to just do further research, further reading. All this knowledge does not just come like that. You have to go out of your way also to learn. And learning does not come by just watching. It's by doing.
So I just want to add on to that as well. So Bitcoin has been compared to, well, has been called digital gold. So the question is, how does gold have value? Or how do other minerals or stones have value? And I think it's in the same manner, right? So before we had paper money, people would trade using gold and silver. Why is that? because gold and silver was something that had one utility for many people, no matter where you are in the world. Everybody could make stuff out of gold. And then gold and silver was finite, meaning that it wasn't infinite. You knew for sure that getting gold and silver was tough, and it required both a time investment and also some other additional resources to go and mine gold and silver. So that investment by people who go to a mine, get silver, get gold, and then they would have to trade that with other people, right? So that investment of time, effort, and resources, and then also both that universal value, meaning that I can go to a different country and they would also find value in gold in the same way as my country, is what gave gold a value. So Bitcoin, in a way, is the same thing. So how people would go and mine gold and silver in mines, now this is being done with technology, right? That same time investment is being done using computer equations and power. So hopefully that answers your question.
Just a question to Ian a bit. Will you call that computer power the intrinsic value of Bitcoin?
I'm not sure I would call it the intrinsic. I guess you could, but I think you also need the value of society to also kind of ascribe some value to it, right? So, but I feel like that does give it some value. The fact that you have to go out there, invest electricity and power to mine it, gives it some value. Okay. Okay, so tell us about the exchange again. So we're trying to go back on topic. So you exchange cryptos to fiat via the exchange. But what's it like for the average Kenyan crypto investor in terms of regulation? You mentioned there was a task force that the government has established. Can you kind of tell us how it's like in terms of politics, regulation, and compliance?
Okay. Now, most African countries generally, apart from Kenya, don't have a real position on cryptos and blockchain. There's a research which was done by EcoBank, my former employer, where it was just laying out the overall cryptocurrency regulation in Africa. That research is somewhere in their linking page or something, so you can check it out. Now, if you see banks trying to do also research on cryptocurrencies, okay, just need to take a look at that. So, on the position for, let's say, now the Kenyan perspective, through the CS ministry, is called Mr. John Shero. He had proposed that we need to use blockchain on government transactions. So that's why the president now commissioned a task force that was early this year, around Feb, to do a thorough research on blockchain and how probably it can be incorporated on the government. Now, we know most of the African governments are very corrupt. And the fastest way, probably the one which was recommended, was putting our land registry on the blockchain. And when that happened immediately, the lawyers went to court to block that. Okay? So you can see there's a real challenge, because the lawyers actually feel they'll be out of jobs when the smart contracts are put in place, because they won't be the agents to be probably negotiating the deals of lands and everything else. Of course, it's just a matter of time and that will be over. Now, the task force has already done its job through the Mr. Bitangen Demo, who is the head of is the chairman for the task force. And they have already submitted the report to the government. Now, they are yet to come out to the public on the contents of the report and everything else. Now, on the central bank side of it, for a long time, they have been cautioning guys against investing in cryptos, especially when there was a report which was done by Citibank and showed, I can't remember the exact figure, but
163 billion.
163 billions of Kenyan money is in Bitcoin, or rather in cryptos. Okay, so that was a worry, rather a red flag to the central bank, because you can imagine if everybody puts their money on Bitcoin. I also understand the position of the central bank governor. He has to protect the Kenyan shilling, because that is what is basically paying him. You know, he can't tell everybody go and invest in Bitcoin, Because if it tells that, then everybody will remove their money in the stock markets and invest in cryptos, okay? All the banks will collapse and something like that. So for a long time, he's been against the cryptos until now. The reports about some of the suggestion about the blockchain task force, they say they need to have a Kenyan digital currency backed by the fiat currency. I'm not so sure how that one is going to work out, but they are saying something to probably incorporate M-Pesa to something like a crypto fiat currency, something like that. So with such kind of recommendation, then the central bank looked at it like, this is something we can look into, okay? So we're still not very sure yet where we are positioned as a country, but I can say there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and maybe just to add on the regulatory front, we've had the IMF weigh in, at least for themselves. They've actually done a report, and Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, has actually in a number of times been quoted saying that central banks should actually look into what cryptos are actually doing and the possibilities that cryptos actually portend to the public and for the financial system. So I think central banks talk to each other, and depending on what happens on one end, they'll either encourage the other party to follow suit. So there's a wait and see kind of a scenario.
Okay. Let's take one more question from the audience. Okay.
I'm going to basically answer your question that you asked earlier. So the people who don't own crypto. So we are new, we have no idea what it is. Are you able to give us a little? Let's give you a mic.
Thanks. Yeah. So to answer your question, for those who don't own cryptocurrencies, we are new in this area. I have no idea. We've just been hearing about bitcoins, crypto, people mining, Ethereum. I don't know. It's all over the news. It's all over social media. So could you give us a little of a history behind this, and how did it start, and how can we get into it? Like, is there like a little of a step-by-step process that's there in a very simplified English, not too technical, not
in terms of how to get involved in crypto?
Yeah.
Okay.
After understanding the history and.
Okay. So I mean, discussing the history of cryptocurrency, you can. It's only been here for about 10 years, but the history is already long because there's so much stuff happening. I think it's probably better if I tell you my story, right? Right. So for me, I got into blockchain space around October 2016. A friend of mine, I was working at IBM, a friend of mine was trying to hunt down the director of blockchain at IBM. IBM was heavily involved in the blockchain space. They have their own blockchain called Hyperledger, which is an open source blockchain. And he said, hey, can you put me in touch with the director of blockchain? And I said, that's a very big ask of you. Why do you care about this? He told me he was a blockchain developer, Bitcoin developer. He told me he also had a crypto fund. And to me, that was very surprising because he was my age. And most people I knew most people I've seen on TV who have crypto funds or hedge funds in general are on Wall Street, and they're old guys. So I was like, what's this young guy doing with a hedge fund? So it really got my attention, basically made me curious. I said, okay, this is really interesting. And he told me he was investing in crypto, in Bitcoin, Ethereum. And to me, I thought cryptocurrencies were for the dark web, were for people trying to buy drugs or do bad things, money launder. I didn't know this was an asset class you could invest in as an investor. As somebody who was currently invested in the stock market, and I had made some money and also lost a bunch of money in the stock market, I just began thinking as a businessman and said, if this is something you can invest in, then I have to learn more about this. Because I asked him, how much money are you making? And at that time, he told me he made 200% in a year just buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that was beating whatever I was doing on the stock market. So I said, okay, now you have my attention. But I didn't really know anything about Bitcoin or Ethereum. I mean, I had heard of it. I mean, I knew blockchain technology at a very high level, right? And for those who want to know, blockchain is really having two people transact without having a central authority. Basically having no middleman. Blockchain is basically peer-to-peer, two people transacting without a middleman. No bank, no government, and still maintaining trust. That's really what made the blockchain revolutionary. Because sure, people can transact with each other, but you always had to have a middleman to have trust. That middleman was typically a bank, a government, somebody there to have trust, right? And what blockchain has done is allowed two people to transact with trust without having a middleman, meaning that I can transact and send you money, send you digital money, online money, without having to go through a bank, a government, a PayPal, a telecom company, and still have trust, right? So for example, why is trust very important? If I have $100, what's the currency here? Is it shilling? So if let's say I have 100 shilling in my bank account, and I go send you money, technically I should, let's say I give you 50 shillings. I should have 50 shillings left, right? But the issue with this online is it was possible to basically double spend. Like if I give you 50 shillings and they haven't yet deducted my 50 shillings from my bank account or from my online wallet, I could go to you in 10 seconds and do the same transaction, right? So being able to do that online without having a middleman to verify that I have the exact amount of money I claim to have in my account is really what blockchain has been able to solve. Meaning that we can do that, and you can trust that I have whatever I say in my account without having to go to a third party to verify that, if that makes sense. All right, so at a high level, that's what blockchain is, right? But following that, how did I get involved? So my friend said just go on Coinbase.com. This is a cryptocurrency exchange. It's a fiat to crypto exchange, meaning that you can go with your money, paper money, whether shilling, dollars. Actually, I don't think they do shilling. I don't think they work. But this is more of an American exchange. So I went there with my dollars, plugged in my bank account, my credit card, and I could buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I bought $100 worth of Bitcoin and $100 worth of Ethereum. And to me, my perspective was I only want to invest what I'm willing to lose, because I didn't really know much about the space. But I was just willing to take a risk just to learn, because I felt that if I bought something, if I bought a piece of a Bitcoin or some Ether, I knew then that I would be invested, I'll be incentivized to learn more. So I did that, and then the next thing I did, I went on Amazon.com, and I found the top 2 books in the space. Those books were Digital Gold by a New York Times writer, and the other one was called The Age of Cryptocurrency. I read those 2 books over the course of 2 to 3 months, and they really told me the history of the space, from where it began with the white paper of the Bitcoin founder, Satoshi Nakamoto, to Silk Road, when Bitcoin kind of got some hype from people using it to buy bad things, to when the FBI came in and closed everything down, to then when exchanges began popping up like Mt. Gox. Then there was the Mt. Gox hack, when an exchange basically went under and hackers took all its money. So basically, it walked you through all the timeline and the history of the space. But more importantly, it also gave you a good overview of where it came from, where it is now, and where it's headed. So after going through those 2 books over the course of about 3 months, I felt more confident in the space, to a point where I thought, okay, you know what, this is something I believe in long term. Based on the technology, the history, I think this is going to be here for the long term. So my appetite for risk increased. I was now willing to invest and lose even more. So around January, around a month into it, Bitcoin had gone up about 25%, so I bought more Bitcoin and Ether. I put in $250 in Bitcoin, $250 into Ether, and just kind of kept on learning. I began reading articles, going on news sites like CoinDisc.com, CoinTelegraph.com, just trying to take in as much knowledge as possible. Me and my friends also began creating different chat groups to discuss blockchain and crypto. This was done over a app called Telegram. So every single day we're just exchanging ideas, exchanging articles, just really learning every single day. This was basically an obsession. For almost 6 to 8 hours a day, we're just communicating about crypto and blockchain, just trying to learn more and more. And then fast forward to January, February 2017, excuse me. I got my bonus from IBM. I had more money. I was very bullish in this space. I just finished learning. So I knew that this was something that was going to be here for long term. So I put in $2,500 into Bitcoin and $2,500 into Ethereum. Then in about a week and a half, Ethereum doubled its price, basically over 100% return. So my investment went from $2,500 in Ethereum to over $5,000. And that was probably the fastest money I'd ever made from an investment. And that happened because Ethereum announced the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, meaning that all these Fortune 500 companies had partnered with Ethereum to start building on their blockchain. Companies like Microsoft, JP Morgan, Cisco, I believe. But basically, these big companies were backing it and giving it a thumbs up, saying this is something we believe in. We want to start building on this for customers. And that's when Ethereum just kept on going up. And I said, you know what, guys? I think this is a very big opportunity. I want to focus on this even more. And that's when I began investing and educating myself even more. So fast forward till September 2017, from just investing in the space and just educating myself even more, I was able to leave my job at IBM and go full-time into blockchain and crypto. So that's the quick story on how I got involved. Hopefully that answered it. And you guys want to add anything to it?
I think on the local front, what I would urge you to do is go online. Like for me, I'd actually said I'd actually met someone who was trading crypto in June. So what I did is I did my little research, and in September, that's when I decided to put in a little money, see how it actually works. So it pretty much works as like your M-Pesa or your bank account. If you've been able to use M-Pesa, you've been able to send money, pretty works the same way. So that's when I noted that there are quite a number of Kenyans who had actually invested in cryptos, and some of them had given tips on how to buy the cryptocurrencies. So I would actually urge you to go online, follow guys on Twitter, watch videos on YouTube, get different views from different people. Then that way you'll be able to learn. And I think I'd also state there's a blockchain association that's been running for a while, actually from about 2013, and you can see someone over there. So these guys are actually creating awareness and creating meetups where you're able to learn. So once you go online, all the information is there, and it's for free. So it just needs a little bit of your time and commitment, then try it out. With some little money, with as little as 3,000 shillings, you're able to buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. Then from there, you'll be able to read about other cryptocurrencies and who are behind them, the notable personalities, which big companies are actually investing in these areas. Then from there, you're able to make an informed decision. But for starters, stay with the large caps. As you delve in deeper, then you can do the other altcoins.
Let me add something really quick. In Kenya and Africa in general, we've been affected by one big thing: the lending platforms. The lending platforms, which are most of them are basically as scams, and they come with the name of Bitcoin. They come in the name of cryptocurrencies. They come saying, this is cryptocurrency you're investing into, but in the real sense, it's the lending platform you're investing into. 3 months later, down the line, then they shut down. So as you indulge into space, I will also ask you to be very vigilant and also not to just listen to anyone or anything crypto. The most important thing is to involve yourself into forums which discuss cryptos. And the first step, of course, is to, as he says, go online, yes, but now online, there's so much information, you might wonder who is telling what and what is true and what is authentic or not. So it's usually good to be very careful, because the space it's a wild, wild west, yeah? Anyone can tell you anything. So it's usually good to be cautious as possible, and also follow the experts, okay? If you are totally new in the space, follow the experts, ask questions, join the forums. There are so many WhatsApp groups, okay, Telegram groups, most of them Kenyans. So there are many others, we call them shit coins, keep coming up all the time, and they're really, really, really not cryptocurrencies at all. Okay, so those ones we usually discuss them there. Okay, the people probably come with them there, tell them why they are not real cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. So guys, it's also good to be realistic with the space. It's a bit tricky at some point if you really don't know what you're doing. So follow the experts, be there, be on meetups like this. Actually, first of all, congratulations for attending this, because this is one of those which can help you learn the right things.
Yeah, the second question, I mean, the second part of my question was a guide or a step-by-step process that you would advise or recommend. So is it like basically like go online, read, or is there
So step-by-step guide.
so any examples,
hear me?
any advice on any platforms to go and visit to learn?
So step-by-step guide. I mean, so I can't really tell other people what to do per se, right? That would be financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. But I can tell you what I've done and what I would do again if I could go back. If I was starting brand new in blockchain and crypto, I'll do the same thing. I would first go and buy a small amount of Bitcoin and Ether, and just to sit, because I feel like it's hard to do something with full effort if you don't own a piece of it. And I feel like, for me, what helped me really get involved was first buying something, but not just going out there and putting my entire life savings into the space, because that's just not good investing. So I would say only invest as small as you're willing to lose. So so for me, that's what I asked myself. I said, how much money am I willing to lose right now? And not to a point where if it goes to zero, I won't care. I won't cry about it. And to me, at that time, it was $100. But it could be $1. It could be 1 shilling. It could be, I mean, I don't know what the minimum is to buy here and exchanges. But I feel like just ask yourself, how much are you willing, what's the smallest amount you're willing to put at risk to where it goes to zero, you won't really feel bad about it. And then go out and buy a small piece of that. Once you have that, then start investing in education. Go out there and get books, whether it's a book, an audio book, or just watching videos. Go on YouTube, right? I have videos on my channel that teach people the beginning, or I guess I call them intro to Bitcoin, intro to cryptocurrencies. I have that also on my site. If you go to ianbalina.com, I have a free ebook that's an intro to cryptocurrencies. I also have an ebook and video that's an intro to ICOs, which are called initial coin offerings. Those are similar to stocks, to IPOs, initial public offerings. So, I mean, the first thing is really education, right? But it's hard to do all that education if you haven't gone through the process of owning a cryptocurrency. Because I feel like that process of owning it, no matter how small the cryptocurrency is, really makes you understand better. Because you have to go out there, put money from your bank account or to an exchange, create a wallet, all of that. That really gives you a better understanding of what's going on as you're getting more educated. And then as you have more success, then your appetite for risk will increase, and then you can slowly start adding more money. Right? For me, total over the course of my first year in cryptocurrencies, I invested $90,000. But that wasn't just over one short time frame. That was over the course of a year. And I began at first with basically $200 in Bitcoin and Ether total. Then from 200, I went to 500, my next investment. Then after that, after some success, the next one was actually 5,000. Basically half in Bitcoin, half in Ether. Then after some success, I began putting in about 5,000 or 10,000 every 1 or 2 months. Every time I'd get some money out, I'd put in. And then that happened over the course of about 6 months or so. So I worked my way up. I didn't just put in my entire life savings in 1 month, right? So I feel like you have to have some success. And as you have more success, your appetite for risk increases. But the entire time, you always have to tell yourself before you invest, this is only what I'm willing to lose. Because some people like to invest more than they're willing to lose. Then when they lose it, that's really when you feel that the pain. Okay, there was a question in the back.
Hey guys, So my name is Brian Adams, and yeah, I'm happy that all of you are here. So what I do is I mentor people on cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And that is what we've been doing for the last 2 years, since 2016. So yeah, I had someone want some education, and we mentor from cryptocurrencies to blockchain, A to Z. Anything that you want to know, if it's masternodes, if it's proof of work algorithms, if it is proof of stake algorithms, anything that you need to know. All you have to do is just come and hit me up, and we'll talk. And we do it online with my colleagues, and everything is there set up, so you can access all materials. We've summarized everything into one package where you can just come and read and access it whenever you want. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. You have a comment?
I just wanted to compliment what Brian Adam is doing. He has a group which he focuses on educating guys on everything crypto, from airdrops. You know, most of the youth, let's say, don't have liquidity probably to invest, but you can also earn some free cryptos through airdrops, which are basically free tokens which are given for you to do some sort of exercise. So he's been doing a good job, and been watching what he's been doing. Those are some of the guys I keep saying they are really trying to educate the community on the right channels of investment. Now, something else probably which Kubitx stands for currently is education. Kubitx is focused in educating the masses on how to invest in genuine projects, and we'll be having more of those probably from next year, whereby we'll be educating guys in forums, meetups, and stuff like that, so that guys can be able to understand the risks also and the rewards on cryptos. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So I think time for us to go to the, okay, one more in the back. Okay, last one. Then we'll start the pitches from the blockchain companies. Okay, I mean, we'll have an AMA, a chance for Q&A at the end as well. So this is definitely not over. Okay, let's have you go.
Hello, good evening. I don't know if it's the right time for me to ask this question, but mine is with regards to the markets. There has been a period where you would wake up and your WhatsApp groups are filled with people excited about 200% jumps, 300% jumps. And then there have been some months where everyone is quiet and still wishing they get their Lamborghini. I'm still waiting to see the Lamborghinis. So what has been your experience with the markets? Fine, I'll educate myself about the coins, about what everything else is about. My money is locked in EOS. Is it EOS? Yes. I can't even get it. I didn't even know when they were locking it. I can't get it out. Now you tell me to look at crypto again. You know, like.
Hold on. So your money is locked in EOS?
There was a time they were transiting.
Oh, the
Yes.
blockchain swap, token
Yes.
swap.
And then even after transiting, I still hear some people have not gotten their money from that transit.
Okay.
What has been your experience with all this jargon, with these markets going up and down? Give us some hope.
Some hope. Now, okay, so hopefully this can give you hope. You have to have a long-term perspective at this, right? So, think this year has been a bad year, right? I mean, everyone will tell you that. But if you look at this, where the space has come from the last few years, the last 3 years, last 5 years, last 10 years, you see the growth, right? And for me, looking at the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I see even more growth, right? So to me, that's what gives me hope, right? So, I mean, sure, it would be great if every year was Lamborghinis and we're going up, all right? But the thing is, that's not healthy, right? But even more importantly, though, is now that the prices are low, those people who missed the opportunity a year ago, or even in December, now things are basically at a much cheaper price, right? I don't think the value for the good projects fundamentally has changed. I mean, it has changed for the bad projects, no doubt, right? Because in 2017, any project could raise a bunch of money during its ICO, right, from the public. But nowadays, almost no project is going to raise the full amount of capital they want. Times are tougher now. Investors are smarter, right? So I feel like the pain has made people wiser, made people do even more homework, made people more vigilant and trying to filter out the scams, the bad projects, right? I mean, I've lost money as well this year. I mean, this year has been bad for everyone. But I think if you have the long-term perspective and say, okay, sure, times are bad now, but 5 years from now, do I think we'll still be where we are now? I mean, I don't really picture that, because I feel like the technology is getting better and better. And having that long-term mindset is what gives me hope personally, right? Now, if you're investing in cryptocurrencies, trying to have money for next month for a vacation or to buy a car, I mean, then this is probably not the right place to be investing, to be honest, right? Because going back to what I said before, you have to be willing to invest only what you're willing to lose. Meaning that if you lose it, right, you shouldn't really feel that much pain. That's why for me, I had to work my way up. I didn't just immediately come in and put in my life savings, right? Because if I lost that, then I would have been really mad and I would have felt that pain. But because I began small with something very small that at that time I could spend in a weekend or whatever, right? Maybe just whatever it costs you to buy a cup of coffee a week or something. Maybe that's what you're willing to lose. Don't start with that, right? So, I mean, that's really my. I mean, I hope that gives you hope. You wanna.
So I think you're a pretty sophisticated kind of investor. If you had your tokens off exchange, I mean, you're pretty good. For me, I'd put it this way. The time you'll see cryptocurrencies being covered by local media stations, then know that it's back to fever pitch, it's back to FOMO. Right now, there are no mainstream media stations that are covering cryptocurrencies. Take it from me, it's not as much. Cryptos are not getting as much coverage. Because right now, if you go online, you'll find there are 2-3 people who are talking about cryptos and blockchain. But the mainstream media isn't talking about the same as much. So this is a good time to buy. It's a bear market. For me, similarly, I've lost some money because I got in pretty late. But now it's made me wiser. I've been able to see, to identify other coins that are actually long-term in nature. And for me right now is moving to the next level of trading, because I discovered that with the price movements, you can actually make much more. So it's something similar to what is happening on the stock market locally or even globally, but just on cryptos. So I think moving forward, it's still a very good avenue.
Personally, I say cryptos is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So when you're investing in crypto, as Ian has said, always think long-term. Now, something else also probably you might need to add when you're investing in cryptos is that I call them basically digital stocks. They just act as the normal traditional stocks market, whereby prices go up and down in that volatility. And basically, as Richard Branson puts it, that volatility, through that volatility, there is an opportunity. Like in Bitcoin itself, you can short Bitcoin. For those who understand how to trade, you can short Bitcoin. You can make money when Bitcoin is going down, and you also can make money when Bitcoin is going up. Okay, so also one of the greatest saying which I like using on crypto, which is the saying which has been used by Warren Buffett for a long time. He said that be fearful, okay, when one is greedy, and be greedy when everybody is. Exactly. So when everyone is greedy, that means there is FOMO. That's the time you should be selling. You should not be touching new investments during that time. You should be selling, literally. Now, when everybody is fearful, like right now, the bearish market, this is where the opportunity is to buy. EOS, for example, it's like $2 right now, right? And just the other day, it was almost, okay, it was almost $15, okay? So you can imagine that kind of volatility. So there's a lot of opportunity during the bearish market, and usually people do the opposite. They buy during the FOMO, okay? And when prices come down, then they start saying, again, something else I usually say, if you invest on good projects, you have not really lost your money. You have not like lost for real. It's only that it's a delayed profit because cryptos come down and they go up. For example, Bitcoin has had a lot of bubbles over a long period of time since inception. So it's just price volatility. When it goes down, be ready for another bull run. Okay.
Okay, so before we get to the pitch competition, we have some projects that are doing ICOs. For those who don't know, an ICO is an initial coin offering. It's when a token, a cryptocurrency, is first available to the public for purchase, meaning that similar to a stock, when a stock is first available to the public for purchase, that's called the initial public offering, an IPO. So this is the same thing, but just with cryptocurrencies, with coins. Right. So for me personally, I've made most of my money via ICOs, and I've done that using a system I call token metrics. So I want to just quickly, at a high level, go over that for those who may not know what that is, to basically show you how I try to filter out all the scams and bad projects and find the good ones, those that have helped me make money. So the first thing I look for, this is all done from looking at data of past successful ICOs based on ROI, based on the return on investment for investors, looking at the data and finding patterns in the data. So looking at the data has showed me that 90%, 9 out of 10 ICOs had good technology, meaning that the technology, they had something built, something tangible. It wasn't just an idea. If they're asking for money from you with just an idea, just a white paper, then 9 times out of 10, for me, I don't even touch that at all, because the data shows that the good ones, 9 out of 10 times, had either the app already launched, some kind of prototype, either a testnet or a mainnet, without getting too technical, but they basically had something tangible for you to test out. So that's the first thing I look for. So if something is a blockchain, I looked for a testnet and mainnet launching pretty soon. Or if it's an application, I looked for the main application to be built and ready to test and use. So if it doesn't have that, I skip it. Doesn't matter how good or how sexy the idea is. If it has no technology, I skip it, because the idea is to mitigate risk. So you're not here looking for an outlier. You're trying to be consistent. Then looking at the data shows 60% had credible teams. I call these all-star teams. Now, I've tried to codify this to make it very black and white and very easy for people to filter out. So my definition of an all-star team, they have to meet one of these two criteria. They have to have 2 all-stars minimum as full-time employees on the team. And these people have to have worked for a publicly traded company for more than 2 years, meaning that they have come from a credible background like a Facebook, Amazon, Google, IBM, Bank of America, basically a credible company, or have worked for a credible blockchain project, a project that's top 25 in market cap, and have worked there for 6 months or more, meaning that they were a Bitcoin core developer or Ethereum core developer, or they were a founder of a top 25 blockchain project based on market cap. So why do I do this? Because if they come from a credible background, it makes it a lot easier for you to do homework. Who's heard of CentraCoin? A few people here? Okay, those who don't know. So CentraCoin, this was a project, a business that has been called a scam by the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC in America. They arrested the founders. Now, they had an ICO about a year before that and took money from investors. But during the ICO, I was one of the few people who called them a scam during the ICO, because I could see it right there and then. How did I spot that? Because I was doing homework on the team. They claimed to have a CFO, a Chief Financial Operating Officer, a Chief Financial Officer on their team, who was my age, and she looked like she was in her late 20s, and she claimed to have worked for a publicly traded company as a CFO. Now, to me, as somebody who's worked in the enterprise world with IBM, with Deloitte, the one thing I know is typical CFOs are old. They're typically in their 40s or 50s. So when I see a young lady in her late 20s, my age, as CFO for a publicly traded company, that seemed really odd. So I began drilling deeper even more, right? So she claimed to work for this publicly traded company for 4 years between this time frame. Well, the thing is, publicly traded companies, they have public reports you can look up. So I pulled up their 10K report, their annual report that's available publicly for investors. If you go to any publicly traded company's website, and they will typically have somewhere at the bottom of the site for investor relations, and they'll have all the reports there. Or you can just type them on Google. Like if you type in Facebook 10K report or Facebook annual report. And so anyway, all the financial data for this company was signed off by the CFO. So the name is right there in like the first 5 pages, the CFO and the signature. And it wasn't her name. I said, that's really interesting. Maybe I messed up or she messed up. So I go through and look at the last 4 years of reports that are signed by the CFO, and her name is not on there. It's a different CFO, some other guy. And I said, this is really, really sketchy and suspicious. So all the 4 years she claimed to work at this company, she was not the CFO. Then I told myself, either 2 things happened. Either she made a mistake, right, and either had the wrong company on there or had the wrong role on there, which was highly unlikely, but let's say we give her the benefit of the doubt. If she made a mistake, that means she's highly incompetent. So to make a mistake of that magnitude when you're asking money from investors, or the other is correct, or she's just lying, and it's a scam. And I went with the latter, and I said, this is a scam, guys. This is a huge warning sign, red flag. I'm not gonna touch this project at all. If they're willing to lie about their roles with companies, then this is not a project that I wanna put any of my hard-earned money into. Then, probably like a few days later, the team, I think the marketing guy saw my review, which was public, and said, oh Ian, hey, the CEO wants to come on your channel and explain everything. He wants to pay you money. And then here, check out his Instagram page. He has Lamborghinis, nice cars, boats, whatever. And I said, yes, this is definitely a scam. So a year later, they got arrested by the SEC. And me doing homework on the team is what saved me from that scam, because all that information was publicly available. That's why when I'm going into any project, I like to have people that have worked for public traded companies, because that's information I can verify. Right? I mean, even now as the market is getting worse, and for us, we're also trying to filter out even more scams, I think eventually we're going to start doing background checks on all these people. Right? But anyway, that's something not everyone can do. But I think there are definitely lots of scams out there, and you have to really be diligent with doing homework on that. So for me, that's why I have that criteria. So going back on topic, I look for 2 all-stars or more on the team, meaning the full-time employees, because sometimes you have so many companies that will lie to you and tell you they have X amount of employees, but they're all contractors. I had one company, which I ended up pulling out of, thank God, but during the ICO, they claimed to have this marketing person as their CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. Everything was good. Actually, I met her in person in Australia. And she was pitching me about the company, everything. Fast forward after the ICO, I was trying to ask a question about something, and I pinged her for a question. She said, hey, I don't work with that company anymore. And I said, I thought you were the CMO. Oh, I was just a contractor. I was just working with them for 2 months. Then I was like, then who's doing the marketing? Why lie about that, right? So that's why I also have a requirement of having full-time employees, not part-time employees, not people doing this as a side hustle. If you're going to invest in something, make sure the people who take your money are working full-time on that idea and project. Same thing with advisors. I look for minimum 2 all-star advisors. Same criteria, 2 years or more at a publicly traded company, or 6 months or more at a Tab 25 blockchain project. So that's basically the initial checklist. So imagine we go through maybe 100 projects a month. So we go through that checklist very quickly, looking at the tech, meaning that is there something tangible built already that is not just an idea, and is a team credible? That will leave you, out of 100 projects a month, maybe 10 to maybe on a good month 20 projects remaining that are really worth your time of doing more homework on. So to us, that filters out all the noise. Then after that, we have our team go deeper on the project. So we have a team of developers. They'll go through the technology itself and tell us, okay, is this good technology? If it's good, then that's when our team comes in and basically has calls with the founder, asking more questions. Those calls can be 1 or 2 calls. They can be done online via video chat or in person, if we're in person with a company. But this entire process can take 1 to 2 weeks, right? So, and once we've gone through all of that, then we decide, okay, this is something we think that's worth investing. So that's our system. Everybody has different systems, but I think for the most part, most systems do have overlaps, right? Of doing homework, finding credible teams with good technology. All right. Any of you guys want to share how you guys research investments?
Well, for me, I can say Ian is my mentor since I started learning how to research projects, and basically everything I teach, most of the guys who are here probably have taught. Wherever you have listened to his speech, you can tell there's a lookalike of whatever I keep teaching. It's just the same things. Prototype, okay, all-star team, good roadmap, you know, those kind of stuff which you go into details and to. So basically, I've learned most of my stuff I've learned from is through Ian. And there are other guys who are good, okay, but most of the guys, there's a guy also I listened to and he said, I also like listening to Ian. So I was like, okay, fine, let me just listen to Ian anyway. Okay, so through him you get to learn. I've learned so much personally, and I've also learned how to, now also further detailed analysis of the blockchain technology helps you out also to learn, to be able to weigh out these ICOs, because if you understand a bit of the blockchain, especially the Ethereum blockchain, where most of the dApps or most of the ICOs are built on, you will be able to understand, or rather you can be able to go in there through etherscan.io and check that project, check the shareholders, how much are they, how many tokens are they allocating themselves, you know, that kind of just a rough analysis of the data, okay, to give you just a perspective of how serious are these guys. If you see someone allocating themselves 25% shares, or rather of the tokens, okay, I mean, those are some of the things I don't look out. Now, I've added a few things on my list as well. Personally, I never invest in any project which has only one CEO, okay? I look at it this way. If on a traditional market, if you're investing in a company, will you rather invest in a sole proprietorship company or a limited company? Okay? Which is pretty obvious. A sole proprietorship company is run by one person, and the decisions are made by one person, and if at all they decide to liquidate the company, it's just one person. But now, on a limited company, which has more than one director, it's very hard for one person to make a decision and decide to liquidate the company. Now, on the ICOs, the same thing to me. I like projects which have at least over 2 co-founders. Okay, so from there, at least now I can be able to now go further deeper on what are they trying to solve. Now, something which we have also just learned, make sure the co-founders have given their all to the project. They are full-time employees to the project, okay? So those are some of the things which you keep learning as you go, okay, as you go. And the first way to learn is being in there. Start with a small ICO. With that, basically, I can even invite you guys to start with Kubitx ICO, put a small amount which you feel you can be comfortable losing, and learn how it's done. Because through that, that's how you can be able to benchmark projects. For example, currently, there are projects I can't invest on because they don't match a specific project. Okay, benchmarking, okay? Yeah, so I think that's what I can add on that one. And on the same, though, I can ask Ian a question on his position on the future of ICOs in the US following the new regulations by the SEC. Yeah.
Okay. Before we get to that, did you have anything you wanted to add?
So for me, all I can say is that you get better with time. Looking at myself way back sometime late last year and where I'm at, I think the information that I have right now, I'm a better investor. I'm a more seasoned kind of an investor. And knowing having interacted also with the stock market, because I'd done this a while back, maybe about 5-6 years before. So right now I'm seeing that the same principles are actually being employed on the crypto sphere. So for me, I would actually urge someone, go online. This information is for free. Ian was one. I actually got to know Ian as I was doing my research on YouTube videos, on his spreadsheet. Plus, I also look at what other people are actually saying. So, and especially you could even get two people who have different opinion. Then do your own research, and finally you'll be able to make a decision. Because right now, I would actually say I know more. There's someone who actually wanted me to pay him a fortune. So at that point, I wasn't too sure what I was actually getting into. But right now, this information is out there. It's for free. Do your own research, and that's the best thing about it. Because looking back, if I'd actually paid this guy and bought in at that particular point in time, I would have lost more than I maybe expected. So in my opinion is take it slow, learn. You can even do a monthly kind of thing, or once you've understood, then you can actually put a lump sum. And to Ian, I think there are quite a number of guys who've accused you of shilling projects. They've even called you Ian Shillina, given you another name. What do you have to say about them? And could you also tell us what projects? I know right now with your partnership with KuCoin, you no longer share as much information, but maybe for today you could actually tell us what projects that you're looking into, or what projects you would actually advise us to have a look.
All right, so I'll start with your question about regulation. So I think ICOs are done for US investors, people in the US. I mean, that was kind of the trend already. Most ICOs don't allow US investors, right? They typically take investors outside of the US because US has a lot more regulation requirements that they have to complete, right? So, but I don't think ICOs are dead. I think that the trend now is probably going to happen even faster are STOs, security token offerings. So basically similar to securities, so like with equities on exchanges, right? So I feel like crypto now is heading more towards the stock market, where everything's going to have more regulation, more compliance. So that's where I think the trend is going, right? And then in terms of people who say that I shill projects, I mean, I always tell them, like, how mature are you, right? Because people who make those allegations, I ask them, like, you cannot have your cake and eat it too, right? Meaning that if somebody, because if I talk about a project, they say I'm funding the project because I didn't get in or whatever. If I talk good about a project, let's say I'm too positive, I'm a cheerleader, I'm trying to shield the project, then what do you want me to do? Like, do nothing? I mean, and then I say this, if I'm going to put in time and effort to find a project that I think is good, that I think is an all-star project, then why would I put in all that effort to find a great project and not invest in it, right? Why would I not have skin in the game? If I believe a project is so good, of course I'm going to invest in it, right? Because people come to me for my opinion on what is good, right? How can I give you my opinion of what is good if I've not invested in it? If it's so good, then why wouldn't I invest in it? Right? So to me, I think it's even better. I think it shows that I'm very congruent, right? I invest in what I believe. I put my money where my mouth is. Because you have so many people, right? This is where people really lose money. You have so many people, so many influencers, some people publicly online who say a project is amazing, but don't invest in it. I had this one person who had like 5 amazing projects. He said they were amazing, but he never put any money in them. Then I was like, why not? Oh, I'm not trying to lose money. Then why do you think they're good projects? Right? So for me, if I believe something is good, I'm going to put my money in it. It's that simple, right? Whether that that definitely does make me biased, right? As somebody who's invested in the project, but that's why I'm always honest in what I invest in, right? For transparency. Anyway, in terms of what I think is good, so my top projects this month. So actually, this is a project that has had a private sale the whole year long, so which ended. But I'm going to get into this one OTC, over the counter, meaning after its ICO. So this is RSK, Rootstock. This is bringing Ethereum type smart contracts onto Bitcoin. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you'll know that I wasn't bullish on RSK. Yes, I wasn't, because I was relying on token metrics. This is the value of token metrics. Even in a bear market, it can still find you a good deal. Because RSK, to invest in it during the private sale, meaning they had no public sale, meaning it wasn't open to the public, it was only being sold to private investors, because this is a very big project from Buenos Aires, Argentina. But anyway, this is probably one of the biggest technology projects to come out this year. And for the private sale, the purchase rate was 14,000 RIF tokens per 1 Bitcoin. Meaning for each Bitcoin you invested, they'll give you 14,000 tokens. But Bitcoin early in the year was nowhere where it is now. Bitcoin was over, I don't know, like 10,000, was even 20,000 early in the year. Right? So some investors bought Bitcoin, bought RIF tokens, RIF tokens, RSK tokens, when Bitcoin was 12,000, Bitcoin, imagine you got into RSK when Bitcoin was $12,000. Bitcoin right now is $4,000. So that same one Bitcoin you bought for 12,000, right? With $12,000, I can get 3 Bitcoins worth of RSK tokens, meaning that you can get, yes, huh? Yeah, so about 56. But anyway, 42, right? So you can get 3 times the number of tokens for the same price now, if you're just patient enough, right? Because to me, looking at the data, RSK was overvalued during in spring of this year, right? Actually, hold on. Around April, between January and April, RSK was overvalued. Well, between January and now, RSK was overvalued. But as Bitcoin kept on tanking, now it became more and more attractive. So that's why today I was on exchanges selling my old tokens, like Loom, some mainframe. I'll be selling some Eden Chain. I'll be selling some Pundiax to get Bitcoin to buy RSK. Right? And then people will be like, how did Ian know this? And I say, just looking at the data, to me, showed me that, because the whole point of the data is to find undervalued projects at the right time, right? So a project, because when people say Ian wasn't bullish on RSK, I was bullish on the technology, but as an investment at that time, I was not bullish. But now that it's declined, the price of Bitcoin has declined, and now you have a better deal, now it's a better opportunity. That's why, to me, it's the best project out there to invest in, and I do plan to invest in that. Outside of that, I also like Resistance. This is a project we have been keeping tabs on. Met them in Stockholm, Sweden, around May of this year. Have been keeping tabs on them as they've been building the product. This is a decentralized exchange. Then they came to Dubai and pitched when they were ready, and they ended up winning. We kept on doing more homework on them, and now we'll be investing and we'll be advising them. Then another project I like, Spatium. This one, I met them in January of this year back in Korea, and we've been keeping tabs on them for the whole year. Met them in Spain and Barcelona, met them in Prague, Czech Republic, met them in Dubai, met them in Kiev, Ukraine, and have been keeping tabs on the progress. They're doing both the hardware and software wallet. So these are the projects we personally like right now. But anyway, I think that's enough of that. Let's get to the project pitches. We have 3 projects. First one up, let's have the projects please come here on the side.
All right, so we have ICO-Fi.
Okay, ICO-Fi.
ICO-Fi.
ICO-Fi
Yeah.
in the house. Okay, let's have you guys go first.
So ICO-Fi right here.
Who's with ICO-Fi? All right, so, no stopwatch now. Yeah. Okay, let's have you come up here and give us an intro on the project. First, tell us your name, the company, what you do.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Sheyi Olushakin. I'm an advertising consultant.
Can you guys hear in the back? Okay.
I'm Sheyi Olushakin, advertising consultant with a software background, and I'm here to introduce ICO-Fi to you. So ICO-Fi is a platform that's meant to simplify your process of looking for the right ICO to invest in. And our idea is to have a decentralized application where people can vote. Like if you have a project and you have to prove that you have a community, like real community, just like when you go to Telegram groups, you see a lot of people in there, but they are not real people supporting the project. So a proof of community is when you sensitize your community to come and vote you, to become visible on our platform. Just like in the case of Binance, if you want to get listed by voting, you invite your community to come and vote you, then you get to be listed. So it's a kind of proof of community. And more importantly, to tell you a story about how I got into blockchain and Bitcoin, in 2013 was the first time that I used Bitcoin to pay for a service. Then at some point, I just left a little amount left in my account. I didn't really know much about Bitcoin. I just needed it to pay for a service. Like in 2014, I needed to pay for a service. I couldn't use my card, so Bitcoin was the option. Then I went back there. I knew that I need to buy more so that I can pay for the service. But when I got back there, I realized that what I left there was actually enough now to pay for the service. So that was when I began to go into to learn a bit about Bitcoin. But there was no much information about Bitcoin and all that like we have now. So basically, because of lack of information and easy access, especially in Africa back then, I missed out in investing early because I couldn't catch up with. I couldn't have enough resources to do research and all that at the time. So basically, the idea is I missed out because there was not enough information or simplified information to get involved in the Bitcoin, at that time. So the same way, that's what we're trying to solve with ICO. Like one of the best ways to make money in the cryptocurrency community is through ICO. And just like our panels rightly said, token metrics, using it to know which one to invest in, it's how you get to avoid scams and projects that are not really worth your time. So we are working on a platform that is going to be backed with artificial intelligence to help you streamline your research, and will be real time, basically for people that wants to invest in ICO. And for ICO projects, we're creating a platform that will make it easy for them to stand out of the noise, to have the attention of the community. So we have an MVP. We have a minimum viable product that we have worked on, and it's a development in process. It's in development, and then that's why we're here to tell you about it. So basically, we are looking at.
Okay, can we wrap it up slowly?
Okay. To make it simple, ICO-Fi is a platform, is a decentralized app for ICO listing and research. Also, for voting, for competition, for ICOs to compete. And also, basically, we are looking at a situation whereby in the recent times there have been a crackdown on advertising of crypto projects and all. This gives an opportunity for marketing with word of mouth and paid advert, which we are here to fill the gap with ICO-Fi. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so thank you for that. Yeah. So we'll have the panel each ask one question.
Okay, I would like you to tell us what stage is your ICO. You're doing the ICO right now, or you're yet to?
We are yet to start. We are looking at having a private sale in January 7th.
Okay, thank you.
But it's in 3 stages. Private sale, then the pre-sale, and public crowd sale.
Okay, what stage is the product in?
Is that?
What stage is the product development?
We have already we've integrated it to Ethereum blockchain that you sign in. So we're finishing up with our smart contract that you require a token to log into the platform to interact.
Okay, but is the product finished?
It's not finished. It's in development.
So when is it going to be finished?
It's going to be finished by first week of February.
Okay, and when's the ICO?
The ICO is in 3 stages, like I said. We are looking at private. We are looking at private fundraising in January 7th. Then pre-sale in February 5th. Then the rest of the crowd sale in March.
So what's your hard cap? How much are you looking to raise? And also, from what you have raised, how are you going to allocate that money? What's going to go into development? What's going to go into marketing and all that? Okay,
basically, we're looking at raising $10 million in 3 stages. So the first stage in January 7th is to raise 500,000. Then the next stage, 3.5 and 6.5. So basically, we are dedicating 30% to development because beyond, we are starting with ICO research, but in the long run, we are looking at syndicating with advertising publishing platforms for ICOs to average. So we have development that is ongoing, so we are dedicating 30% to development. And also, for ICO these days, listing on credible exchange is very important. That is why we need up to that amount. We're looking at listing on major exchanges and also to have liquidity. And also compliance as well. And marketing. We are looking at 25% on marketing.
Okay, thank you. Now, before we go to the next one, I want all the panelists to basically share their opinion on the pitch.
One, I would want to, maybe I would have needed to get more information in terms of number of users or how they are actually planning to acquire users. Having a hard cap of about 10 million, not too bad, but in the bear market, not so sure how you're actually going to raise that money. So for me, I would actually want to look at user adoption first, and I think you should concentrate more on the project and not the listing at exchanges. Once you have a good product, then I believe you'll be able to list at any exchange, and that's how the community will be able to vote for you.
Okay. Honestly, I think $10 million is too much for the DApp you're trying to build. And then the fact that the DApp is not ready makes me even more nervous, because I would prefer if it's already done and then you ask for money. But then also at the same time, I'm not sure I understood the utility of the token, right? Because you said it's to log in, but I mean, do you need $10 million to log in? I mean, because ICO drops is doing the same thing with no token and not $10 million. Right, because I feel like that's a project or an application you can build without $10 million, right? Without even a token. I mean, it's nice to put it on a blockchain, which is good, but I mean, I guess what are you doing that's different from ICO drops? Because ICO drops is free, has no token, and has been self-financed without raising $10 million.
Well, I think most of it has been said, but now for me, I will specifically ask for the basics, the website of the company, and so that I can get the white paper, which I need to go through it into details, and probably the smart contract address where you can be able to check it on Etherscan. I think he said it's an ERC20. I believe so, yeah.
Okay, but thank you for pitching. And as with all pitches, don't take it personal. This is just constructive feedback. Okay, Ugo, next one.
TMX Global.
All right.
Great.
Please tell us your name, the company.
Okay.
What's your
Great. My name is Anthony Njoroge Jenga. I'm the CEO of TMX Global Coin, and I've been in the logistic business for the last 15 years. I used to work for TNT, now called FedEx. as a finance director. My partner, who is Evelyn, also has worked for FedEx and UPS. She has an 18 years experience in courier and logistics. So I don't think there's anyone who can beat us on that area. Now, what we want to do, we have two products we want to develop. One, there's something called hyperlocal. Hyperlocal logistics is basically delivery of parcels around the city center and its environs. Because one of the things we have is we want to make sure the mamambogas, or say the small villager, can actually put their product on our system, and we start delivery. Why? Because one, we already have about 6 or 7 delivery persons who deliver on our behalf, and hence we want to expand that. Why did we go into blockchain? For example, one of the biggest challenges we have in the industry. The other one is global logistics. Basically, what you're going to do is to be able to connect the globe by moving. If you're, for example, moving cargo from China to Kenya, you have to go through SGS, go through the freight forwarding, go to the shipping line, go to the warehouse, and it comes all the way to Kenya. You pay duty and VAT. One of the biggest challenges we face in Africa is a third of our economy is taken up by corruption. So we need to deal with corruption as an issue. So for me, I'm very passionate about that. So those are the two products. Where we are with our project currently, we already have what is called Freight Forwarders Association. What are we doing? We are collecting freight forwarders globally. So we'll have an agent in China, we'll have one in the US, we'll have in Japan. And so basically that's already working. And our prototype for hyperlocal will be ready in February, and then after that we take to the next stage. So what are we looking at? We are looking at raising. Currently, we are on a private sale, and so we are talking to basically investors to be able to raise money to be able to do the first phase. So our pre-sale will be in February. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay. On your raising and the funds raising, your soft cap, what's your target, and your hard cap, what's your target?
So you'll allow me to talk in Kenya shillings because I'm a Kenyan.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. So you convert for Ian.
We will convert.
Our soft cap is 10 million Kenya shillings. Our hard cap is it's 100 million. So what we are doing, and our maximum token is 120 million tokens, TMX tokens. Yeah. So that's where we are. So soft cap in Kenya shillings, 10 million.
10 million. That's $100,000.
Yes, and then a hard cap, 120 million tokens.
120 million tokens.
Yes.
And the figure?
We are looking at 0.05. No, 0.5, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. 0.5 dollars.
That's the price of the.
We are looking at when it goes to the, yes.
But
right now,
the hard cap?
Yes.
What's the hard cap itself?
Hard cap is 120 million. In US, yes. Okay, we're looking at was it one? Sorry? Just multiply that for me, Carol. 120 minus, yes. 100,000, yes. Yes. 120 million, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
No, soft cap.
A quick one.
Okay, hold on. I think there's confusion here. What's the hard cap again?
Hard cap tokens is 120 million.
No, hard cap in dollars.
In shillings.
Shillings.
Okay. All right. We are looking at 50 shillings times 120 comes what? 50 shillings. $20 million. Yeah.
What's the hard cap? Do you guys know?
6 million, 600 million, yes.
6 million shillings?
600 million, yes. $6 million. Oh, $6 million. Okay, fine. Good. All right.
Hold on. So one quick question. The early one who put ICOFI, was your 10 million in shillings or dollars?
No, that is like about...
Was yours in dollars or shillings?
No, we just divide by 100 shillings.
No, I'm saying for ICOFI. Dollars. Okay. Let's stick to one currency. So
okay.
Okay. So whatever.
Hard cap is $6 million.
Okay, dollars. Okay. So
yes.
$10 million, $6 million. Okay.
Yes. Great. And what are we solving? One, on the global scale.
Okay. Okay. I think the pitch is over.
Okay.
Now we'll have the questions from the panel.
Good.
Okay.
You've been in the industry for quite a while, and how are you looking into wording competition? Or are you going to work with, is your platform going to work with existing players? And kindly tell us a little bit about your platform and how much is actually going to the development costs.
Okay, good. We are going to be working with existing players. Remember, we have already an association of freight forwarders. What does it mean? Freight forwarders we plug into our system. Why? Because if I want to probably, like, let's say, pick a container in China, I need a Chinese freight forwarder to push for me in Kenya. So we'll collaborate with various players in the market. Shipping line, freight forwarders, and warehouses like maybe Michel Coats and stuff. So they'll all be in one platform.
Okay. Can you go through again the utility of the token and the blockchain functionality?
Okay. Now, the thing is, we're working on an open source system, for example. So that means every player in the market, remember our players in the market is one, the freight forwarder, the shipping line, SGS, the government, and transporters. So basically what happens, whenever you want to take a shipment from maybe China, you'll send a token to somebody in China who'll buy the things on your behalf. If they don't have the cash, they'll go to an exchange and get dollars or whatever currency. And then when you ship it, the shipping line, the SGS guy will say, I need a certificate of conformity. So since it's open source, they'll be able to get that information from the system. And then they confirm the goods are okay. Once they do that, it goes to the shipping line, who will do the bill of landing. From the warehouse, when it comes to the warehouse, we'll also have a bill of landing, house area bill, and then the transporter will pick it. So that's a cycle. Okay,
just to make sure I understand this. So you buy the token to use to ship back and forth?
Yes.
Now, this is a very crowded space of logistics, shipping on a blockchain.
Yes.
Right? Projects out there, even like XM Chain and others.
And
VChain. So how do you plan to be different? What's unique about you that they're not?
Our uniqueness in the market, one, remember, we are getting collaborations globally. So we'll have somebody in China. Actually, we'll have 2 freight forwarders in China. And none of them is doing that. So we'll have association of freight forwarders globally. So we'll pick from various guys.
None is doing anything global?
No, they're doing global, but they're not using freight forwarders association. Because those will be our trusted agents to pick the goods on our behalf. That's a unique thing. And then the other thing is all the importers, the freight forwarders plus that, the importers are also part of our association. So we're building a community around the people who have a need for import and export. So that now they're able to talk to each other.
All right, thank you. That's it for now. Thank you. Now we'll have the judges give us their opinion.
Okay, I think TMX Global is a good project. I've been watching it for a while, but I've had a bit of issues, especially with the team. As I said earlier, the projects which I look at investing into. So I will need to see probably a more robust team, okay? Because all the time, it's either the CEO who's pitching. What about the rest of the team? Who are the guys? Who are the developers? Who are the CMO? Who are the CFO, you know? So a one-man's team, for me personally, I mean, there's something which needs to be done on the team. So that number one. And then number two, probably the competitive advantage over the other projects like VChain needs to come out extremely clearly. Why should we not really go to an exchange and put our money on the VChain and decide to put on TMX Global? Okay. Something else which I still have to insist on all African projects. Kubitx specifically is trying to help on African projects, African blockchain startups, African blockchain projects. Most of these African projects, we find it very hard. We have to be very sincere to be listed on external exchanges, on foreign exchanges like Binance, Bittrex, and so on. So we really have to stand out on our projects, because Kubitx now it's here. We have our own African global exchange, which is going to connect us to the globe. So for you to be listed in Kubitx as a company, or rather as a solution, you really have to stand out of the rest. And of the rest, I'm talking of VeChain and the rest who are doing the same globally. As Ian said, there's nothing personal with any projects, but you see, we have to be as strict as possible so that we list the real projects. No exchange in the world wants to be, of course, unless it's a pump and dump exchange, but no exchange wants to be labeled as an exchange which lists shitcoins, okay? As I can say that. So we have to be as strict as possible, and also all of us who are trying to do any blockchain projects, let's go big, okay? Let's not just assume because it's cryptocurrency, because it's coins, everybody's going to buy to it. You have a bigger task ahead after you have launched your project. Then the next thing is listing. So where are you going to be listed if you're not standing out? There are many cryptocurrencies exchange startups coming up every single day. So let's stand out. Let's stand out on information, on competitive advantage, and everything else. Thanks.
I think I'll start with the team, because at least you've given us a little bit about that. Right now we are evaluating on limited information, but otherwise we'll still go ahead and evaluate based on the limited information. I think you have a good team, quite some good experience on the local front, working with international companies. That would give you as a plus. One thing I would want for you to have maybe given us a little bit more on that is on your technical team. And is your token or is your platform going to be interoperable? And will someone be able to use other tokens either for payment of services and all? Because I think the issue is in terms of adoption. You've talked about having some relationship with the freight association of some sort. That I think is a plus, but I don't know if you have some existing, like an MOU of some sort that is somewhat binding, because we would actually want to know that. For me, I would actually advise maybe to also work with a more established player in the field, but on the local front, I think you have a grasp. Also not asking for too much in terms of amount of money. So I would take a gamble, so to speak. But I would actually need more information to be able to make a concrete decision. Good job.
All right, thank you. Now, I like your background with TNT, FedEx. However, I think the space you're going after is very, very crowded, right? Logistics, shipping. I mean, there's so many projects out there that are competing for that same space. So I think you will have to be very, very special to stand out, right? He mentioned VeChain, I mentioned XM Chain, and some others. It's just a very, very tough space. But I think it's possible. I mean, I don't see any other large flags, right? I think that the cap is fine. You're saying hard cap 6 million, right? I think that's fine. I just think it's just, you have to be really, really unique, right? But if you have background in FedEx, then I think it's a good start. All right, next one, Ugo. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Next up, and the final project we have today, Mobium.
Okay. Welcome.
Thanks, Ian. My hands are sweaty. I'm trying to open my phone, and it's just, you know, with the fingerprint. Here it goes. Okay. All right, everybody hear me fine? Just one thing before we go, we have been sitting here for ages. So everyone could just stand up for a sec, please. Stand up, quick. So it's my time, I'm investing this. Stretch, thank you. All right, now, you can have a quick sit down now. I've got to ask you a very important question. Who has got no paper money here today? Anybody got no paper money? I'm surprised because we're talking M-Pesa country here. I have been going for a whole year without cash in my pocket. Unless somebody gives it to me, then I don't know what to do with it. Because I usually, you know, when I'm going out, I get a little drunk and pulling stuff out of my pocket and it drops or it gets stolen, or I don't even know what I spent it on the next day. At least with M-Pesa, I've got a record. Now, I just wanted to find out how much you guys trusted M-Pesa. Doesn't seem very strong at the moment, which is, well, you know, but you still got cash, right? Maybe you don't trust your phone. Is that what it is? Okay, so we agree it's strong. All right. Now, the reason why I brought this up is that paper money is something you can feel, touch, taste, smell. It's in your pocket, so it's yours. It's almost like the idea of crypto. You look after it, you're responsible for it. With mobile money, it's a digital experience. Now, the thing with going from cash in your hand to mobile money, that's a very, very big high hill. And it's the telecom companies that are doing the heavy lifting for that. But when you go from mobile money to cryptocurrency, it's digital money. So you have the understanding of what it is. It's not a big step. It's just a case of trust and faith in what the product is. And of course, it's been a little shaken lately. Now, the reason why I wanted to pick that up was because there are now over 400 mobile money deployments around the world in 90 countries. There are 700 million wallets. They're expected to double in the next 5 years. So the mobile money side is growing very, very fast. And it is my, I wouldn't say an argument, it's my contention that the telecom companies are actually investing in the mobile money, and the spin-off is that cryptocurrencies are going to benefit because people will understand digital currencies. So now, coming to what I'm doing, is that I am trying to create more income opportunities for people in developing countries, and we're doing it through cryptocurrencies or tokenization. And two of the areas, what Mobium is a platform. So it can handle any number of projects, any number of products to plug into it to provide to the user. And two of the ones that we're doing at the moment, one of them is in the freelancing opportunity, because there's a very big growth in online work. Ian has actually written a book about it, so I discovered not too long ago. And the big advantage that developing countries have is that they have a low wage level. So you've got the average freelancing job globally last year was around $19 an hour. So you can immediately see that if people can actually access that work from developing countries, they're going to be jumping all over it. Because in Kenya here, it's my understanding, that the average minimum wage is around 60 cents an hour. So there's a huge disparity. There's a huge opportunity for work, and you're talking apples to apples in terms of skill set, for work to flow into developing countries. But there is an issue. There are a lot of people without bank accounts. And when you want to sign on to things like Freelancer, Upwork, even cryptocurrency sites like Blocklancer, Steemit, dBrain, you need a bank account. You need a credit card to sign on. So what we're doing, and just a quick mention of my team's background, we are very, very strong in mobile money. I was imported here, I'm a New Zealander, I was imported here to launch mobile money projects around Africa. And so our team, ex-Safaricom, ex-Orange, ex-Airtel, Mahindra Conviva, Verifone Mobile Money, and there's another company called UTAP. So we're very, very strong in e-money, digital currency. Now, what we're basically doing is we want to plug the online work to mobile money. So the idea is that when you sign on to a website, they have put in your bank account number, put in your credit card number, or put in your email address like PayPal, and what we are looking to add is pay my phone number and make it as simple as that. So then the payment comes through to the Mobium wallet, and then the person can either decide, do they want to break it out of the tokenization into mobile money, which is an instant conversion, or do they want to keep it in the token and then invest in things that were mentioned today, like tokenized gold, tokenized realty. There's a whole bunch of services that are coming through on the tokenized level. You can also buy airtime, and we have a shop that has various products that we're looking to implement and introduce. So I'm only going to focus on that one particular product at the moment. There are other areas that the service does, but I think that's sort of covering off where we're heading with this thing.
Okay, there's one question which I don't seem to be getting answered as you're on your pitch. Why blockchain?
Yeah, when you look at somebody in a developing country and they can access a job online in anywhere in the world, but they don't have the bank account, so they cannot get US dollars or whatever the currency is transferred to them, then you need a system that provides a low-cost, fast, and efficient transfer, of which tokenization does. It's really as simple as that.
Okay, so I'll follow up with that question. Okay, so why your token, right? Why not just use Bitcoin address, Ethereum address as a form of payment?
Yeah,
right?
that's a very good question.
As a freelancer, right? You can just give somebody a Bitcoin address.
If the website does pay in that way, that's not a problem. In fact, it's certainly something that we're looking at in the future, that we can handle multiple types of crypto coins. But at the start, it's easier for us to tokenize in our coin and bring our coin through to the wallet, and then allow the person to decide, do they want $2 a Bitcoin or $2 of gold? They can then do the exchange in their wallet. And so we're basically keeping it as a uniform token initially to see how we go, and then we'll be able to introduce other coins as we introduce other services.
Just to make sure I understand the idea. So you're targeting income earning opportunities, freelancers?
Yes. Yep.
So
online work, online play, online
So you're basically
watch.
a payment perhaps gateway, right? Payment gateway for freelance marketplaces?
Yep.
Well, interesting. Now, already the leading mobile network operator has, in a way, solved that challenge because they've had agreements with PayPal. So freelancers can actually be able to get their money directly to their mobile wallet. So how different is your platform? And I haven't heard anything concerning how much you want to raise. And having leading freelancer platforms actually partnering with some of these blockchain platforms, what's your edge, or what's your wow factor in all this?
Just remind me as we go through those questions, because I only take one at a time. Okay, so I'll go in reverse because I remember the last one first. What's our wow factor? We are adding that pay to my phone. Because everybody has a phone number, it's their unique identity. KYC has been done, so there's already a knowledge of who that person is behind that number. And it just makes it so easy for up to the 700 million wallet owners who may not have bank accounts to be able to now join on to earn some extra income. And it may be $2 an hour, $2 a day, or $2 a week. It really depends what is going to help those people improve their lives. Second, PayPal? Okay. Yeah, interestingly, because we use PayPal for payment for some of the development of our services, and we're actually paying 9% on our transfers going to the person. The transfer from PayPal to M-Pesa, I think the last one that I did was 4.5%. So there's an arbitrage opportunity there in terms of what they charge. It is a good service. There's no question about it. It took 3 or 4 days to come through. It wasn't an instant transfer.
It seems we have freelancers in the building. So
okay.
Some of them can actually chime in.
Looks like there's a question coming out from outfield.
Has a direct payment to my M-Pesa, and it only takes 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use World Remit, and I get money to my M-Pesa in 2 minutes from the other side of the world. So, there are definitely some good transfer sites.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay. So hold on. Can we have the projects that came and pitched back up here again? All the people that pitched? Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I'd have to give feedback to him as well.
Personally, in terms of feedback on whether or not I would actually invest, One, I think you haven't quite addressed the pain point of the users, because there seems to be an existing system that is actually working. In my opinion, if you maybe factored in the cost of remittance, that would be like a plus to them. But otherwise, I think the existing platforms are just working fine for guys. So for me, it's a pass.
Okay, my question on why blockchain has not been adequately answered. So I still feel whatever solution you're trying to provide can be done on a centralized platform, on a centralized environment. You really don't need a blockchain to solve that particular problem. All you need probably on a centralized platform is to scale up the speeds of the existing platforms. Probably that can help stand out. Yeah, so that makes me give it a pass when it comes to blockchain. I don't see the reason for blockchain on that particular area.
Okay. I like the background of the team. I think it's a good background. But as you mentioned, I haven't really been sold on the blockchain functionality and utility. So I think that definitely has room for improvement. All right, so let's have all the people that came here and pitched. Let's have you guys, once again, tell us your names, your company, where people can find you guys in terms of your website.
Okay. My name is Anthony Njoroge Jenga. I'm the CEO of TMX Global Coin. You can get us on tmxglobalcoin.com. I have a team. I have a huge team. I have a developers team. That's part of she's my marketing director. Yeah, so we're big.
It's called TMX?
TMX Global.
Okay. Thank you, TMX.
Global Coin, yeah. Thank you.
My name's David. The project is called Mobium, and website's mobium.io. That's really it in a nutshell, yeah?
All right, thank you, David.
My name is Sheyi Olushakin. I'm representing ICO.io, and we have some information on our website, and we're updating it as well soon. So you can check it out for little more details on what ICO does. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we're going to have our judges here tell us which project they like the most. Not financial advice.
Not a financial advice. Well, with all the projects which have been pitched, if I was to invest in any of them, I'll go for TMX Global. Since TMX Global, I've been watching it for a while, and just lately they put themselves on the Ethereum blockchain, so at least on the smart contract and stuff. So those are some of the details I can go into and check out. Other projects are still developing, so as I'd given my views on the centralized project, which is supposed to be centralized, not on the blockchain and the utility part of it. So that'll give that one a pass. And for the other one, is still yet to be developed. So if I was to invest right now, I'll just go for TMX. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So for the freelancing platform, I think I'll start with that one. I think the utility aspect is still not very clear. I think you need to figure out the pain point of the users so that you're able to address it from that perspective. Otherwise, I'm still not bought in terms of the concept. To the other, yeah? ICO5, sorry? ICO5. Yeah, so for me, it's DApp, and I think you're asking for a lot of money. I think $10 million for a DApp is quite some money. So for me, that actually puts me off directly. But you could try a different avenue for raising funds. I think you can be able to do it by yourself, or even just get an investor to actually put in some money and they'll get some returns. So for me, my best project, or with the limited information, as I've said, would be TMX Global. One, basically because of the team. Point number two, they've got some inroads, at least on the local front. So if you're able to perfect the local front, I would want to, for me, it's a yes, based on the fact of the team, and one, that you're also not asking for too much money. But I think I'll do more research on it and see how it goes. So thank you very much, and all the best.
All right, thank you. So with ICO5, as mentioned before, I think the product should be ready before you even ask for money. But even that, though, I feel like what you're doing is being done by other websites, from ICO drops to others, with no token. And it's fine to have a token, but I think that you really shouldn't have an ICO, to be honest. Right?
Okay,
I feel like it's something that could be self-funded. Now, because I feel like, if anything, I think you should do an airdrop, right? Because you're saying you want to spend money on marketing. If you, on marketing, I believe, right? You mentioned, right? You do an airdrop, you'll get the marketing for free, right? So, I mean, I say this as well because I'm also doing an application, but I had a chance to do an ICO, but I said, you know what? I can do this without an ICO. I'm actually doing an airdrop to my private community, right? Not even a public airdrop, because public airdrops, I feel, bring in people who don't really care about the product or project, right? To me, it's going to be an airdrop only to existing members, meaning no new members. So only those people who have been there supporting you, for me, right? Have been there supporting me and involved in the community. So same thing, we'll have a token, you log in with the token, and the token will be used for functionality inside the application. But I think to raise $10 million, that makes, as you mentioned, makes people think twice, right? Then with Mobium, as somebody who's worked in the freelancing space and done a freelancing application marketplace, I mean, in general, I love the idea. I like it, right? But I think the value prop of why your particular token hasn't been fulfilled yet, right? Because I pay contractors, freelancers in crypto, right? Actually, I was paying the person who edits my podcast, the sound engineer. I pay him in Ether. I was paying him in Ether until Ether became 150. Then I stopped. I was like, you know what? Let's change the contract. I'll pay you in PayPal, right? So I think payment in crypto is something that goes with the market as prices go up and down, especially in a bear market. But the value prop of why pay somebody in this token, why go through the process of converting from Bitcoin or Ether to this altcoin to pay somebody, there has to really be a strong reason to reduce that friction. Right? And I don't think that's been solved quite yet. And then with TMX, I like your background with FedEx, right? Going for this space, I think it makes sense. I think it's a very competitive space. And to be honest, I think you have a uphill battle to face. But from the limited data with the tokenmetrics that I know, $6 million hard cap, and at least from what I've discovered, I think you're an all-star. I think I have to go with TMX for now. But that does not mean I'm going to invest. It just means from these projects here, I think it's the one I would want to do more homework on right now. But definitely not financial advice. All right? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much to everyone here for being a part of the event. It was a pleasure. All right? If you guys still want to provide more information, definitely contact my team. We can definitely keep doing more homework on your projects, right? Not every project that doesn't win doesn't end up being a good project, right? We've even had projects that didn't win, but we ended up investing, right? So this is not the end of the road, all right? Can I ask a question, please? Yes, yeah.
If you do an airdrop, so how do you, and basically let's say you do the project yourself and you do an airdrop, how do you get to list on major exchanges like the funds?
How to list on them? I mean, so look at PundiX. PundiX got into Binance with no payment via community vote. If you have a big community, you can still make it onto good exchanges, okay, right? And there are ways to, like for example, I don't think, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, right? But I feel like if you're traveling and you're out there, you can meet these exchanges at conferences, right? Like we're in Malta Blockchain Summit, and there are lots of exchanges there, right? I know PundiX got into Binance for free, without paying a dime, right? And so did GoChain and other projects. So if you focus on building a passionate, strong community, they can get you on some exchanges via community vote. And then there are other exchanges out there that don't take any form of payment for listing. I mean, I think Gate.io doesn't take any payment for listing. Neither does Bittrex, although Bittrex is very tough to get into, right? But it's possible. It's possible, right?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now let's take some more questions. So whoever has, okay, here's the mic. Ask your question and then pass it down.
Hello. So I was watching some of your videos on Instagram, like the quick videos from Uganda, and it seemed like the place where you grew up was very modest, very poor area. So how did you manage to go from that area to work at IBM in the United States and all that?
Right. Well, actually, I didn't grow up there, but so that was my uncle's house in the village, right? And that's where my mom and my dad grew up, in that same neighborhood, right? And the only way out from those places, well, not the only way, but the most consistent, best way out has always been education, right? So this is actually a better story for my dad to say, right? My dad came from Iganga. It's basically in a village outside of Kampala, the capital city. So he basically went from there. My dad has been my motivation. He was always the valedictorian in his class, meaning the best student, getting straight A's, acing his class, being top % in his class, and he got scholarship to go to the capital city in Makerere University, right? So that was his way out of the village to the capital city, right? Was education. He got good grades in school. Then from there, he got sponsored for a scholarship in the UK, right? So my family went to the UK for 2 years. My dad got his master's there. Came back in Kampala, worked there for a bit. Then his way out from there, he ended up getting his PhD at Penn State, right? So he applied there, got a scholarship because he had good grades, went to Penn State for 4 years, did his PhD. Then after that, he ended up finding work in America, and we stayed here ever since then, right? So basically his way from the village to the capital city where there was more opportunity than to America was education, right? And going back there has been very humbling because you realize how amazing you had to be. Because one small slip up and you wouldn't be where you are today, right? I mean, I had the pleasure of, I had the opportunity that I didn't even know how much opportunity I had, right? So not just being in America, but coming from Kampala. Because in Kampala, that's like the good part of Uganda, right? But not everywhere in Uganda is it like Kampala, right? Like my entire team had a chance to go with us in the village, right? For example, I had a chance to see my cousin, my uncle's son, right? He's a senior, right? And he's gonna be following the same path my family has gone through, my dad has gone through, right? Just because he's in that village doesn't mean he has no opportunity, right? He's doing well in school, and he'll be going to university in Kampala, where there's more opportunity. You graduate, get good grades, you find work there, and maybe you apply for grad school abroad, whether in the UK, in Europe, or America. You go there, and you have to do well, get good grades, and you definitely have to have a scholarship, right? Because most people don't have the means to pay American or European tuition, right? Unless the government is paying for you, right? But not everybody has that opportunity, right? Then when you do well, then if you want, you can choose to stay there. If you want to go work on Wall Street, Silicon Valley, whatever, right? But education has always been the way out, right? That's why, for me, I love education. That's why I make content on cryptocurrency and blockchain for free, because I'm trying to empower others knowing that that education can change their lives, right? That's why we're here, traveling the world. We're here in Africa, just trying to educate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Winnie. I'm really impressed. I'm not in your circles of cryptos, so I'm a non-starter, and I feel like eavesdropping into some big jargons being floated around. But one thing that struck me is about that you said that it's 163 billion Kenyan or US dollars that is invested in cryptocurrencies Is that what you said? What does that mean for a country like Kenya? What does that mean? Is it good or bad, or is it illegal? Are we going to close down Kenya, or what does that mean?
Let me pick that. 163 billion out of, I think our GDP is around, right now, I would put it at 6 to 7 trillion. It's a big figure in a way, but I don't think there's any major or reason for, yeah? No, that's in Kenya shillings. Sorry, that's 163 billion in Kenya shillings. You can actually go online and Google. You'll find that it was a newspaper article that someone referred to the amount of. It was actually Citibank who had actually made a mention of how much Kenyans are actually investing in the cryptocurrency space. So for me, I think it's a good thing that Kenyans are actually doing it. But I think it's some of the big shots in our country who are actually doing it. For instance, I'll make a mention of the current CS for ICT, Joe Musheru. I think he was one of the initial or very early investors who had bought into Bitcoin and actually had founded a company in Kenya. Sad thing is that that company closed shop. Right now I'm seeing them in Japan, in other places, doing huge business. So I think it begs another question, maybe to Ian. Recently we saw Binance opening a fiat to crypto exchange in Uganda, being the KuCoin Titan ambassador. Are there plans to possibly open an exchange, a local one in Kenya? Or how does that go? But I think we're still in the safe space answering your question.
It's always a good thing. This makes you more positive. So KuCoin is definitely expanding globally. Do you hear me? KuCoin is just expanding globally. They have a global expansion strategy with a local focus, right? So the way they're trying to do it is by partnering with local exchanges, and really, because they feel like to have an exchange focused on each country, you have to be on the ground locally, right? And for them, as opposed to trying to go and reinvent the wheel, they want to partner with other exchanges locally and either provide them the platform, right? But basically have it like a white label or private label exchange that's custom to each country or each jurisdiction, or partner with an exchange already, right? Bittrex has a similar model, right? Bittrex partnered with Upbit in Korea, right? And they have lots of other exchanges around the world that they partner with. But yeah, definitely, they definitely do have a local strategy. I'm also surprised Binance went to Uganda first over Kenya. I'm not sure, maybe you guys can tell me why you think that is. If anybody here knows any good exchanges or anything like that, I mean, KuCoin, I can definitely see if KuCoin has any interest in coming to Kenya.
Oh, good. I think one, we have some good exchanges. For instance, I'll mention there's Belfrix, there's Pesamil that opened shop recently. We also have my colleague, Kubitx, who will also be launching sometime. So I think it's a good thing. In terms of Binance listing in Uganda, I think one of the reasons that possibly made Binance list in Uganda is the political will, if I would speak. Because at the opening conference or meeting, the president was present, and he actually made a speech. So he's bullish about blockchain, and I think he also has good advisors, and I think it's a big plus. Because for me, being Kenyan, and we regard Kenya as the East African financial capital, I thought that CZ would actually have his exchange in Kenya. But I think all is not lost. With time, we are likely to see much more happening. One good thing that I would actually want to say is that some of the bigwigs, in this regard, I refer to people such as Bitange Ndemo, the former ICT minister and the chairman of the task force, is one of the proponents of cryptocurrencies, and he's been doing articles in the dailies encouraging millennials especially to actually buy in to cryptocurrencies as opposed to buying land, for instance. But what I would say, do so cautiously. The current ICT minister, similarly, was also an investor, and he had actually founded a company. So these are very strong signals to Kenyans. And to those who still doubt whether it's cryptocurrencies are here to stay, I mean, take note of what the notables or the bigwigs are doing in the market, and that should actually be able to guide you both locally and on the international front.
All right, thank you. Now, going back to that, let me just ask one further question. Do you think it's, I guess, what's it like doing business in Kenya? Do you think maybe that's what CZ was evaluating? Is it easy, or are there many hoops to jump through?
Currently, I'd like to refer you to the Ease of Doing Business Report 2019. And Kenya actually jumped 20 places from 81, position 81 in 20. Okay, the report is actually like, the 2019 report is usually released end 2018, you get? So currently, Kenya ranks at position 61. So which is a good sign. So in terms of ease of doing business, we are really good. And the numbers here, because we are a population of about 50 million, the next best country is actually Rwanda. And Rwanda has a population of about 12 million. But the Kenyan market is fairly sophisticated, so to speak. In terms of foreign direct investment, we also receive a lot. I think we are top 3 after South Africa and Nigeria. So that is in Africa. So when we talk about ease of doing business, it could actually get better. And we believe this will actually happen much faster.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, who has the mic? Okay.
Hi. Oh, my name is Caroline. So I wanted to ask about, okay, we all know that Bitcoin, the idea behind it is decentralization, so it's not predictable at all. According to us and many people, we were thinking by this time it will be high up, but it's going down and down. And from my research, some experts are saying it might go up to 1,500. So when you have a startup company, especially a blockchain startup company, everyone relates any blockchain company to Bitcoin. So as long as Bitcoin is going down, it's so hard to maybe get into an ICO or even talk about blockchain anywhere, because you talk about blockchain, talk about TMX, talk about any other project, and anyone relates it to Bitcoin. So I think, I don't know how to ask this, but are most projects going to be tied to Bitcoin, or do you think there will be another coin that might come and overpower Bitcoin? Because it's not that it's a good coin, it's just popular. It's not a good coin, it's just popular, and the popularity makes the value go up. That's my first question. And my second question is, what is your expert opinion when it comes to USDT? Because when Bitcoin is going down right now, most people are holding value in USDT. So what is your expert opinion about USDT?
Okay. So I don't think, Bitcoin, I think, is a good coin, right? If you compare it to all the other coins, right? That's why the Bitcoin dominance is so high. Now, whether or not it solves all the problems out there, that's not the case, right? Bitcoin was created initially to solve a few problems, right? That's why it's been having issues right now that other coins are trying to solve, right? But going to your other question about USDT Tether, I've never been bullish on Tether. I've never used Tether. Main reason being is backed by, it's supposed to be the USD, US dollars. But the bank that banks it, there have been lots of questions around it, right? First of all, it's not even in the US, right? And me, as an American and Ugandan, if I'm going to be putting my US dollars, I want it to be in a US bank, right? Not because how do I sue a bank all the way in Hong Kong or somewhere else, right? I have to bring them to the US for anything like that, right? For any legal issues. But with that being said, though, I'm bullish on stablecoins. I think the new ones that came out, the ones that are backed by Coinbase and Gemini, right? Those being done in the U.S. Those are things. There are stablecoins I would rather use over Tether, over USDT. But in general, though, I don't really use stablecoins, right? I understand they're mainly used more by traders. I'm not really a trader. I'm an investor, mainly in ICOs. But if I want to hold my money in something, I just go straight to dollars. And so dollars is my stable coin, all right? You want to add to that? Okay, all right. Let's also get some people in the back there as well.
Yes, I'm Brian. I wanted just to ask this question. What is the correlation between among individual coins? Why is it that when Bitcoin goes down, the whole market is red?
It'll go down when Bitcoin goes down.
Yes. Now I just want to know because they support they support different projects. Then
Yes.
secondly, I have this one. What are the political, economic, technical, and sentimental factors that influences the price of the cryptocurrency? I don't have the problem with the blockchain technology. Why is it that it can take 1 month for the price to rise from 2,000 to 20,000 US dollars? Then within a short period of time, it goes down to where it came from, and there's no technical relationship. What makes it not possible to go to zero?
Very good question. So, the first one, why do altcoins go down when Bitcoin goes down? Right, because if you go on exchanges, most trading pairs are done in Bitcoin, meaning that when you use Bitcoin to go into altcoins, right? You sell your Bitcoin for an altcoin, whether it's Ether, whether it's Ripple, Cardano, PoinDX, Loom, OneChain, Icon, right? Most trading pairs on exchanges are Bitcoin because Bitcoin was the first one, right? So most people were trading Bitcoin, right? And so when Bitcoin fluctuates, right, that volatility is tied to that currency pair, right? So that currency pair could be Bitcoin and Icon, for example, an altcoin, right? So basically what you want to do as an investor, you're trying to accumulate more Bitcoin than the altcoin. So you want even though the dollar amount may decrease, you want to gather more Bitcoin. So without getting too technical, it's because most altcoins are tied to Bitcoin's trading pair. So that's why they get affected when Bitcoin goes up and down, right? And then most investors, right, if you're in an altcoin and you think the market is going to go down, you can't just go from that altcoin and go straight to dollars or shillings. You have to first sell that altcoin to Bitcoin, or on some exchanges also have Ethereum pairs. So you have to first sell that altcoin. You have to first, meaning the price goes down before you can go to dollars, because once you sell it to Bitcoin or Ether, and then you can cash that out to dollars or to some other paper money, right? Most altcoins don't have fiat gateways, meaning that to get out of them, you have to sell them and Bitcoin or Ether, right? So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but you basically have to take 2 hops to go to your money, meaning you have to sell, and as people are selling, the price goes down, right? And then your other question, why does it take a month to go up and then it just drops very quickly off a cliff? Because people are scared, right? Well, I would say the average retail investor, right, when the price is going up, it goes up slowly, right? Because people are gradually buying. People buy, then other people hear the price is going up, then they buy, right? So as they're buying, the price is basically slowly going up. I mean, it goes down as well, but nobody really sees it. It's a steady incline. But then you may have a big catastrophic event, right? So similar to a run on the bank, right? Maybe the economy collapses, right, in a particular country, and then everybody runs to the bank to get their money out. Right? And it's that massive sell-off that causes the price to go down even more. Because when the price is going up, people are willing to hold onto it, right? But once they see a big drop in price, then that panic selling happens, right? Because those people who are holding see, oh wow, it's down 10, 20%. Let me get out now. Let me take profits now, which brings the price down even more. Then it basically creates a cascading effect, right? So, and then sometimes you also have very smart, sophisticated investors that at times try to manipulate the market, right? And they try to, if they want to get it, maybe they missed the boat, but then they try to, if they want to get it, maybe they missed the boat, but then they try to and they're late, they don't want to buy at a very high price. They want the naive newbies, the beginner investors, to panic sell so that they can buy it at a lower price, right? So for example, actually we're talking about this week. If you look at the times Bitcoin and Ether the last few weeks and this month has dropped, right, in price, the biggest price drops on exchanges. If you then go on to OTC market, the sites that basically track people who buy, large investors don't buy on exchanges, they buy over the counter because they don't want to affect the price that much, right? But if you look at the large drops in price on Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you look at the OTC order books, whether people are just tracking wallet movements or whatever, you will see there are large buys by whales every time there's a big price drop, meaning somebody is buying pennies on a dollar, right? To a point where some people think that this could be coordinated. If somebody wants to buy a large amount of Bitcoin, they maybe put out, or maybe have somebody put out some fake news or some bad press that they've been holding for a while or whatever, right? Because you have to think about people who can move the markets like this. They could be states, governments, large institutions, large funds that could maybe even own media companies. Who knows, right? But they can really, because I mean, the proof is basically on the blockchain, as they say, right? The large order books, OTC, whenever there's a big drop in price, meaning that the beginners are panic selling as opposed to holding on, and then people are buying their cryptocurrencies pennies on the dollar at a better price.
Thank you for that elaboration on that. So I would like to probably, oh, where is she gone? I just wanted to add on her question, Carol, where she asked about currently where there's a bear market, these new blockchain projects which are starting up, what is it for them that, I mean, with the bear market, everybody's scared and so on. According to me, actually this is the right time to start a project. Okay, why? Because it's a really test on your project. It's an actual test, basically, on whatever solution you're trying to offer. Because if you can make it on a bear market with your project, believe me or not, on a bullish market, you'll make a kill. Okay, so go ahead and launch your project on this type of a market, so that by the time we go to the formal stage, to the bullish market, you're making a kill on your on probably on your coin, it's trading, you're making a lot of profit at that time. So I have a question for Ian though, myself, yeah. You said you sold Pundix. Kubitx has partnered with Pundix on the XPOS. Okay. Yeah, because my question was, Pundix is a very nice, is a very good project, and Kubitx has already partnered with them on the XPOS technology, because they look at Kubitx as an exchange which is going to help them tap the emerging market. So I just wanted you to probably elaborate on your personal take on the long-term benefit for Pundix as a currency. Also, their supply on their total supply is quite huge. What's your take on that?
So with the supply, I mean, it's huge, but I felt it was a good move for them because it made the token price much cheaper, right? And people who invest in ICOs and also who buy on exchanges, they do factor that token price in. Although it's not a correct investment strategy, right? Because it should be market cap, right? But people still do. For example, when beginning investors go on exchanges, they say, "Oh, Ripple is, I don't know, 3 cents, 30 cents, right? It's cheaper than Bitcoin." Right? Even though you should be looking at the actual market cap and not the token price, right? But that is a data point that does take that into account, and that's why Pundix ended up changing that, right? Then in terms of, I'm bullish on Pundix long term. It's been my best investment this year, so definitely I'm very grateful for Pundix. I had a chance to try out their blockchain phone in Malta at the Malta Blockchain Summit. I think it's great. They're very innovative. I've done amazing moves to really kind of stay ahead of the curve, even in a bear market. So I feel like next year they'll make good moves. But I also love their monthly token airdrop. It's been very consistent, especially in this bear market, right? 7% of your holdings each month has been great money, right? I've been definitely taking profits on that, right? Going forward, though, I mean, I've just been getting ready for new ICOs to invest in new projects like RSK, which is one I'm very bullish on now, right? And some others like Resistance. So, I mean, I think it's always healthy to take profits, right? I don't think you want to hold on to something forever and ever without taking any profit, right? But PundiX long term, I'm bullish on. Okay, let's take a question over here. Okay, here, then here. You had a question? Awesome. Okay, let's first have him.
Okay. So my name is Eric. My question was related to the coupling of the altcoin price with the BTC. Long term, when these projects are having utility and mass adoption, do we expect to see the price decoupling from BTC, such that if BTC falls, then a project that is successful will still be able to hold its price because it is actually doing something?
I think that's going to take a while. There are projects that are starting to have currency pairs to Tether or to stable coins, right, which I think is more healthy. But I think it's going to be a long time until, because there's so many altcoins, and not every altcoin really can sustain the volume and liquidity to have numerous currency pairs, right? So until we have more volume in crypto, right? But for now, we typically reserve for the top 10 altcoins out there to have stablecoin pairs or non-BTC pairs.
I'll also make a mention of something interesting that I've noted over time. As you've said, when BTC will start skyrocketing and it gets to a point that now people also start getting fearful, they'll opt for altcoins because one, they look cheaper. So there's also a psychological aspect that goes into the minds of people. So if you're interested in making a crazy kill, you would actually identify which projects have been consistent. As Ian and George have actually pointed out. One thing that I've noted, there's a coin called VeChain. So VeChain have been consistent, I think, in terms of their roadmap and delivery, and they recently did a split on their coin, so it now looks cheaper. So in the long run, when now Bitcoin goes up and its dominance reduces, then we are going to see many of these altcoins making a crazy number of times, maybe 10x, 20x. That could happen, and I think for me it's a possibility. Having seen that Bitcoin has crashed 4 times, that's counting the major crashes. So if we are to count these as one of them, then when the bull market resumes, I think there's going to be some good money to be made.
Hello, everyone. My name is Barry. I just wanted to issue a complimenting statement, especially as far as Bitcoin and blockchain technology is concerned. What happens is that actually the big financial corporate giants have never been able to leave Bitcoin or cryptocurrency alone. Constantly they will wage war and fight, not because Bitcoin is bad or cryptocurrency is the way of life. They just want to do everything else to stop it. The people who are actually complaining about the fall of Bitcoin are the people who bought it yesterday or last month, isn't it? There are people who bought it when it was just 3 cents, or 30 cents, isn't it? They feel nothing about this. They don't even know what you're talking about. They're still multi-billionaires, if you ask me. This is the right time for anyone to be able to acquire or buy or purchase anything cryptocurrency, because after this, you can view it on Viewsasa, because exactly, because it will be so hard, it will be so expensive. I can tell you one more thing. There's a difference between just a normal trader and operator. Operators is when the several big giants pull together and they want to manipulate the market. There's nothing you can do as a small trader, nothing absolutely. I actually knew Bitcoin when it was just $4. I did nothing about it. So today, where do you think I'm viewing it from? Viewsasa. So these guys are telling you the right thing. Find a good platform, find a good token with advice of professionals, people who have been there before. they can be able to guide you on which particular, which one do you need to buy. You have to be aware of circulation, usability. You can be like a Zimbabwean dollar. You're a billionaire in Zimbabwean dollar, but if you come here with that Zimbabwean dollar, you will still be thrown out of this hotel because usability is nil, isn't it? Exactly. So you need a backup of Kenya shillings or US dollars. So that's the reason why Bitcoin becomes a major player, especially in this. It's the mother. But who say that history can never be repeated? It will be repeated. It's just a matter of time. Just stay open and you'll be able to see what's happening in the world of cryptocurrency. This is the time for you to buy anything. Thank you.
Hi, hello everybody. Yeah, my name is Champ, Njoro, whichever one you prefer. Mine is a comment and then questions on ICOs, yeah? First, based on my journey in cryptocurrency, I can say I've been in Forex for a very long time, and I can just tell you, like, you know, cryptocurrency puts us at an equal wavelength. This is the biggest wealth transfer happening in the whole world. Yeah, and we're in the middle of it. For us, especially as Africans, we've always gotten the short end of the stick, and now we have a chance for us to have an equal playing field. And you know, it's just you who is going to go and get that knowledge for your kids, your grandkids. You don't want to be in a situation where they're asking you, where were you when this was happening? You know, yeah? Ian is probably there and you're like, yeah, I saw that guy, yeah? And you're giving stories, yeah? So the systems are changing and everyone is trying to move into all that, and the big boys have taken recognition. They can't change what is happening, and now history is being made. Then now we go now into the ICOs. Basically, I have been shy when it comes to ICOs because I just don't have understanding. I feel like, not what I feel, what I know is that I don't know where I know the entry point of where it should be, but the exit point is usually a hard part for me to figure out. Because I don't know, if you really believe, like let's say you've done the token metrics, right? Or you've done your research. You've entered, you believe in this project. Most of us who are entering into crypto, we are entering in as hodlers, you know. We are in to hold. Where is the place where you're going to say, okay, let's say, for example, maybe 100x advisors entered at this project. Where do you say now, okay, let me take some profits? Or do you just say, okay, I know this will be the next Bitcoin. Where is all that? And at what point, I've even seen some that they don't take some kind. So I wouldn't want to be one of these people who are, you know, kicked out or whatever. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, guys, we're running out of time, unfortunately, and we only have this room until 10. So I think for now, let's wrap up. We'll take some quick pictures. Then if anybody still has any questions, I'll be around for questions. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, Nairobi, Kenya. It's been a pleasure. Asante.